Frozen Sodium Throne is the name of the game. Welcome to episode 17. As always, I have Accolonn here with me. How are you doing, sir?
Sup? I'm good. Went to the gym today. Fucked up my leg today at the gym. So it's a fun day.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Like, how did you mess up your leg? Was it lifting?
We were doing, it's leg day today, so we were doing squats, and I don't know exactly what happened, but right at the bottom of the squat, I had, just this shooting pain up just above your knee to the right side of your knee.
That's your kneecap.
That muscle there. No, just above the kneecap. So, basically, at the start of your upper leg muscle, there was just this blinding fucking pain shooting through it. And I tried to do another one after that. Fucking the pain wouldn't stop. And then I just realized, okay, something is fucking wrong here. And now every single time I try to stand up or sit down, every time I engage the muscle, there's that shooting pain that goes through it. So I'm not sure what I did or how I.
Have you been going to the gym every day?
Yeah, obviously.
That can potentially cause it. You're supposed to take a break every now and then. At least that's what I hear.
But
I don't know.
I mean, I don't go every day. I go 4 days a week,
Okay.
but I don't miss a day. And also, we don't do legs every day. It's just today that I don't know what the fuck happened. Hopefully, it heals quick, or maybe it's just like a muscle that's sort of pinching or some shit. I hope, because I can walk fine. You know, it's not like it's impacting my walking or anything. It's just whenever I engage the muscle that it sort of goes fucking shooting pain. But other than that, I'm good. How are you?
I am, I'm adapting. I'm adapting to the new schedule. The kids are going back to school, which means that we are kind of like trying to correct the release schedule of the podcast, which we usually were recording on Mondays. Then during summer break, everything went to hell. So you guys might have seen a little bit of an inconsistency on the podcast upload schedule. We'll try to work on getting that more consistent for you guys. Those of you that watch the podcast. A lot of people appreciated our discussion on food last time around. Interestingly enough, I was expecting the internet to explode in terms of the whole pineapple on pizza thing, but didn't really happen. Like, some people were actually pointing out, I just don't like the mix of the flavors, which is not what I would expect. I would expect people to be like, heathens!
I think there's a cultural revolution happening, and it's actually one of the cultural revolutions I don't mind. Because I think for a long time, it was just sort of assumed that everyone hates pineapple on pizza. And since more people are coming out proudly saying, you know what, I eat pineapple on pizza, more people are starting to go, okay, maybe it's not that gross. Maybe it's not that horrible, you know? Yeah, it's the pineapple revolution. And we're going to take the world by fucking storm because we have pineapples and you don't. So, I assume that within the next 20 years, everyone's going to have pineapple on their pizza.
I think it's mostly a fact that we try to promote discourse and let's have disagreements, let's talk them out, and let's try to be reasonable about them. And I think that just ends up, engaging a community in a way that is a little bit different. Like, I also talk about a topic recently in my main channel in regards to Monster Hunter, where I know that a lot of people disagreed with me. And I was like, I know a lot of you guys disagree with me. And I even made a poll about it, because you'd expect a lot of times that when you make a poll from a community, usually the community reflects the views of the content creator. Not in my community. I was like, I don't like this feature in Monster Hunter. And a lot of people are like, I'm neutral on it. I was like, all right, it's a good thing that people, feel comfortable enough to expose their opinions without getting absolutely shredded. I think that's very important nowadays in the age of everything on the internet. It's like you say the wrong thing once and explosions, you're dead. It's over.
Yes. Oh, yes. Luckily on my community, I always gauge the health of my community based on the amount of people that disagree with me.
Yeah.
Because I like disagreements. I prefer if people don't just parrot the shit that I say, because then you don't know if you're on the right side of things. You just know that everyone agrees that you're fucking stupid, and you just happen to be followed by all the other village idiots. I made a tweet yesterday where I said that Twitter is probably the worst technology to ever hit humanity in the history of the world, because it gave a voice to all of those village idiots that in the past people would just ignore, right? the guy that would run around the village fucking screaming that the chickens are attacking or some shit. People would just be like, oh yeah, that's just Pete. He's just doing his fucking thing, right?
I think
Leave him alone.
Listen, I think the atom bomb hit the world a little bit harder than Twitter.
I don't think so, because the atom bomb, the reason I don't think the atom bomb was that big of a deal for humanity is it brought humanity. No. Listen closely. It brought humanity together. Because for the first time
we were all in agreement.
Space,
it was like, hey guys,
time in that war space,
this is not cool.
Everyone, including America, was like, not again. Let's chill on this fucking thing, because this is a big bomb that causes a lot of shit. Maybe not again. This is it, okay? Twitter is doing the opposite. It's pulling humanity apart, and you see it everywhere. Friends will just no longer talk to friends that they've known for years. I lost a friend, literally a friend that I grew up with, just stopped speaking to me because I wasn't part of the, according to them, the right side of history, because I happen to think that people should be allowed to say things even if you don't agree with them. I was like, no, fuck you. How dare you? And I was like, okay, well, I guess we were friends for so many years. We agree on 95% of things. We disagree on this one thing, sure. So, what, we can't be friends anymore? And they just blocked me. It was like, no, fuck you. Blocked me everywhere. Blocked me on Facebook, which I don't use anymore, but
God.
I got to... I saw that they had followed me.
I don't want to get too far into politics, especially like right at the start of the podcast to turn people straight off. But I do feel like that is kind of like the objective of a lot of governments, is basically to segregate people, like split them up, because when people are together, they have too much power. So we got to segregate them. It's okay. So how are we going to segregate them? Okay. So some people some people don't like capitalism. Some people like capitalism. Let's get them like clashing. Some people like communism. Some people like socialism. Let's get them. Actually, I don't even know, because there's so many isms nowadays. I'll be real. I don't know a damn thing about politics, which is why I don't talk too much about it. But I don't think the solution is in the isms. It's like all of the ism this, ism that. Is like, no, it's not there. But it is frustrating how you see so many people be so easily manipulated into becoming radicalized by an ideal. An ideal that is presented to them, and it's like, yes, this is the right way. There's nothing that can criticize this. I'm 1,000% correct, and anyone who disagrees with me must die or be silenced forever. And it's like,
exactly. But that's why I say Twitter is such a dangerous place, because it has given voice to Pete that used to scream about the chickens and everyone would just avoid him. Now Pete can speak to the rest of the world. The problem is there is a village idiot in every single village, and they have all found each other. And they're now all being stupid fucking together, saying stupid shit, and attacking anyone who doesn't agree with him. Because in the past, Pete couldn't attack people for not killing all the chickens because it was only Pete. But now Pete has a bunch of friends, and Pete and his friends wants to kill all the fucking chickens. And most people, like I'm one of those outspoken people that just go, fuck you, Pete, and move on with my life. But most people don't, right? Most people have lives, they have wives, they have jobs. They don't want to engage with us. So what happens is you get this silent majority that just goes along with the lie, right? They just go along with it, because if you don't go along with it, Pete and his friends start making noise, tag your fucking business in the noise, and your business fires you because they don't want to be in the middle of a fucking controversy. So you can lose your life as a result of this. So most people just go, never mind.
One of the most toxic things that I usually see happening whenever people are working towards canceling someone, they'll start pulling sponsors. That was actually something that I talked about even on my main channel, which I usually don't talk about drama like this. But I talked about this in my main channel, and a lot of people didn't like what I had to say. But this was actually a criticism that I made towards Pokimane long time ago. Yeah. Because there's a creator called It's a Gundam. No, I watch a lot of his content.
Exactly.
I know
Yeah,
a lot
like
of
It's a
people
Gundam.
probably don't like It's a Gundam. It's like, I don't give a fuck if you like it. I don't give a fuck who you like,
him.
right? Because like
I like him. He's
like
funny as
listening.
fuck.
Yeah, I like listening to content. Sometimes I agree with some of the shit he says. Sometimes I don't. It is what it is. And here's the thing. Like, I think anybody, even watching our podcast, you should never agree to literally everything that we say. If you do, I mean, it might be okay, but there should always be something, I feel like, that you should disagree. Even you and I, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. It is what it is.
No,
But what ended up happening is how Pokimane like started criticizing his sponsors and whatnot, and I think that our fans ended up going after It's a Gundam sponsors and whatnot, and like, and I'm just like, you really got to go after a guy's sponsors? Like, is that the best kind of? Can you attack his ideas? Like, can you like criticize the things that somebody says and like engage in a discourse? No, let's take away his fucking livelihood. And it's like, oh yeah, that I think that's very reasonable. It's like, I don't like what this person says, therefore I want them to be condemned to poverty and misery for the rest of their fucking lives. Like, what the fuck is this? It's like,
it's always interesting to me though that Pokimane is an outspoken socialist. I think borderline communist. I know she's friends with the son, so probably borderline communist. So she's supposed to care about poor people and all the rest of it, and yet she is happy to try and create a new poor person. If it suits her, which is it is funny how the empathy side of the world, the side that always preaches empathy, has fucking zero when it comes to anyone that disagrees with them. But hey, I said something on my Twitch the other day that really riled up a bunch of people, which is usually when I'm having the most fun on my Twitch. But, I just said, the brown shirts didn't think that they were the evil guys when they were doing the shit.
What are the brown shirts? I'm lost here. This analogy is lost on me.
It's a very, very dangerous concept to be discussing, but let's just say when Hitler came to power, he got a bunch of students.
Oh, no!
Yeah. He got a bunch of students to do a bunch of shit dressed in brown shirts.
Why is this the second Hitler mentioned in our podcast? We need to stop. We're going to get canceled. No.
I mean, if you want to talk about the ultimate evil, he's kind of at the top, right?
Yeah, but we can't talk about those things. It's going to get age restricted. You've heard all the creators talking on YouTube how shit gets age restricted for everything. Is like, you think us saying that word is not bad?
I just want to say though, that is the weirdest thing to me. Is like everyone's talking about how their shit's getting age restricted.
Yeah,
and it's not happened to me. Like, I have not.
Let me tell you why. It's because it's based on the number of views that they get. This is why you see like the big content creators like Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, Corey X, Kenshin, friggin' Moist Critical, all of those talking about it is because, it affects them, like smaller YouTubers like us. It's not, I mean, it will affect us if we put actual explicit imagery or something. But like the algorithm isn't going as deeply into our videos analyzed. That's why we can actually say the name without, even though I'm avoiding it already. But
that
anyway,
they didn't know, right? Now that you know, they didn't know that they were the evil people at the time. They thought to themselves, we're doing a great fucking service here, not realizing that history will look back at them and go, Jesus, hey, what the fuck? And that's exactly what's happening these days. This is why I said, Twitter is a fucking evil piece of shit place, because all of those fucks don't realize that they are the evil people here. But just to sort of link with what you said about Pokimane and Gundam and that shit, because it happens all the time, you should never go after someone's fucking support. Yeah. Like, don't go after their salary. Don't go after their business. Engage with the argument.
Engage with the idea.
With something they say, if they said something that you disagree with, then make sure that they know that you disagree, but then also tell them why, because you might change some fucking minds. Yeah, which is a hell of a lot better.
See, I was in a stream the other day, and I was playing Monster Hunter. And, I actively avoid talking about this thing called Curious Armor Crafting because it's a system that has too much RNG and therefore I don't like it. But a lot of people have told me that they do like it, they love it, they think the system's amazing. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I won't talk about it. Like, I get it. You guys like it. I don't like it. It's whatever. So usually I avoid talking about it. But somebody brought up the topic And they were saying, oh, it's easy to get whatever you want. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's RNG. And so this other person came in and he's just like, no, dude, you're wrong. It's 100% easy to get any skill that you want. And then I engage a little bit more with the argument, explaining why I don't agree with that. And he comes back and he says something like, wow, you actually argue the point. He didn't change his mind, but he was surprised that I didn't just ban him. And I was like, what?
Yep. I get that too. I get that too quite often.
And is that like the threshold nowadays? Like somebody disagrees with a streamer, streamer's like, "Yep, you're banned. Fuck you, get out." What?
I mean,
we don't
something
discuss ideas anymore. It's weird.
You actually get ban Andes, right? Which are people that basically go around, usually for 4chan. So these will be people that hang out on 4chan that try to get banned in as many streams as
On
they
purpose.
possibly can, and then they go on 4chan and they brag about how many people banned them. Now, for a lot of streamers, that is the easiest thing in the world to do. Like, you can get banned so fucking easily on some streamers. Like, I follow a couple of streamers that, and I've seen this, where someone comes in, they have a mild disagreement. Like, I'm not talking about name calling, because that's where I draw the line. And I've said that before. Everyone knows how to get banned on my platform. If you start with, what the fuck are you talking about, you fucking idiot, I'm not going to engage with that. You know, you start in bad faith, I'm just going to end it. But they come in, they go, dude, I don't quite agree with what you said there. And I'm like, oh my God, fuck you, you fucking moron, ban. It's like, wow, you know, that's okay, I guess. You know, so I have, every once in a while, someone will come in and say something obnoxious to me, but still, you know, in good faith. And then I engage, and they're like, wow.
You didn't ban me.
Yeah, I actually got a DM once from a guy that went, dude, how fucking, like, can you just ban me, please? Because I really need this. I'm like, no.
I need this. That's like some masochistics. I was like, oh, I come on, man. Just can I just have a ban, please?
Can you just ban me?
Just ban me, please.
And I was just like, no, I'm not banning you. It's fine. You can say whatever the fuck you want, as long as you're not, like, if you're coming into my stream and you're being an obvious racist. Or
That obviously, no, I don't entertain any of that shit either. It's like the second you got, boom, you're done, gone.
Yeah,
but like other than
that's not an opinion to me. That's just being like, why would you say something that is just so obviously meant to inflame a lot of people?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, sure, Nazis are allowed to exist. Go do your fucking Nazi thing somewhere else, please.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just sort of like a weird thing where some people just feel like they're very thin-skinned. You know, some people can just not, they refuse to listen to anyone that disagrees with them. And then oftentimes, and this is something that I saw on Twitter the other day, someone said the Rings of Power was really stupid because something about the lore, right? So they fucking changed some of the lore, and he actually had like this giant thread of what the original story was and how Rings of Power from Amazon changed the story to something completely different. And one of the writers literally just said racist. And I was like, dude, the guy had no mention of race anywhere in the thread. Like, he didn't speak about race once. He spoke about a storyline that you changed in the fucking story. Where's the racist bit of this?
God.
Right?
It's
yeah.
Racist.
It's weird to me.
Problem solved, I guess. You know, it's like,
I mean, it ends the conversation, right? There's no more discussion after that, because either you are a racist and you've just been called out, or you're not a racist, but nothing you say will ever change.
It's a thought that, like, anybody that goes down that line of reasoning where you're trying to have a conversation is just like racist or sexist or something of those lines. Like, okay, so we can't engage anymore, right? Because it's pointless.
We can't talk anymore. Because if I defend myself, I basically confirm that I am a racist.
Yeah.
If I don't defend myself, I basically confirm that I am a racist. So, you know, Good job on using
it's no
Trump
win.
card.
Yeah, here's my Trump card to end this discussion. It's almost like you remember back in the day when you were in school and there was that one kid that was wealthier than the other one, so he had like a cool ball, and then everybody would be playing, and then he'd get upset and he's like, "I'm taking my ball and I'm going home." It's the same level of energy. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. Unless somebody blatantly actually says something that could be considered racist. But most of the time it doesn't. And the worst part is that it kind of diminishes the impact of those words, right?
Oh, yeah.
It diminishes 100%. The impact of a lot of the things that end up happening. It's like we keep going down this rabbit hole. I want to drive us back, but now I just thought of something else that I do kind of want to bring up. Like, you remember the girl that accused Angry Joe of like some heinous shit, and everybody instantly started jumping down his fucking throat because nobody does any like due diligence or fact checking. And then Angry Joe came up with the receipts and explaining all the things that happened. And then when you actually start looking into what the girl said, it was, you could tell, okay, so here was a chance that you could have left. Here's another chance that you could have left. Here's another chance that you could have left. You had a phone. Nobody took your phone away. And it's like, but the thing is, right, the moment somebody says anything, it's again, it all goes back to Twitter. People are just like, right, let's go. Let's destroy them. Like, even recently, you heard the story about that Overwatch player?
No.
So there was a professional Overwatch player. I forget what his name is. There was a professional Overwatch player. He's just sitting on a stream, minding his own business, playing Overwatch. And there was a Twitter account made, a fake Twitter account, by the way, this was already proven, a fake Twitter account made by a guy who was posing as a girl, saying that he was text messaging her indecent shit or whatever, asking her for nudes even though she was underage or something like that. And instantly, everybody exploded on the Overwatch player. You're talking like fucking media outlets writing articles about it, like portraying him as this disgusting person. Tons of people on Twitter completely going after the guy, instantly shredding. And the dude is just watching his career explode in real time. Like, he was actually streaming Overwatch at the time that this happened. Like, I've seen the clips, and dude's just like, you can tell in his face, like, what the fuck is going on? This is a lie. Dude's just like, this is a lie. What's going on? So the person who did this then came out and said, no, it's all faked. It's bullshit. I faked everything. And the Overwatch player was like, I need to take a break. Like, this is insane. Like, what the fuck? He took a break, and he didn't even know if he was going to like come back to being a professional Overwatch player. And I can't blame him, because like that literally could have happened to me or you out of nowhere.
To be fair though, what ends up happening, and also the Overwatch guy shouldn't have taken a break there. He should have just kept going, because his career just got catapulted into stardom.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as bad press unless you are actually guilty.
Unless you're guilty, yeah.
But if you're not guilty, you're like, this guy just did you a massive fucking favor, right? Because you're famous now. Everyone's written articles about you. Now, sure, you're probably going to have to ban a bunch of pedophiles that's just joined your fucking Twitch, right? But at least there's going to be a lot of other people that stick around because they're going to know this is bullshit and it doesn't matter anymore. But it kind of showcases just how diligently you have to be when it comes to articles being written by the media. Because if this guy could get away with creating a fake Twitter account, making fake accusations, and every media company jumped onto this fake bullshit and didn't do their own. Because the thing is, we used to trust the media to actually be the ones to give us the truth, right? So if someone would make a false, like a fake Twitter account, the media would be the ones to point out, this is fake, by the way. We've done the research. We've got the documents from Twitter. This isn't real. None of this is real. We would trust them to do this. So now when they come out and say, oh my God, this really happened, we still have this bias in our minds of going, oh, the media said this, so it has to be true. But the fact that, I mean, they don't do that anymore at all.
If
it's on Twitter, it must be true.
By the way, the player that was canceled and he made a lengthy video about it was SVB. I was just looking it up because I wanted to say the name.
There we go.
It's a player called SVB. He like you can tell by his video that like it's really fucked up what happened. But yeah,
but it's like Swifty stuff as well. You know,
yeah.
When
Instantly deleted.
Was happening.
Instantly deleted his NPC from the game. Just like gone.
Oh yeah. And what's funny is even after it came out that all of that was made up and it was a lie, Swifty didn't do any of that shit, Blizzard never apologized.
No.
Never once did Blizzard come out and say, we apologize sincerely for believing something before it was proven to be true. We just believed it. And what ends up happening there, and this is why companies like Blizzard causes so much harm and damage. Someone comes out and they make an accusation against Swifty, right? They say Swifty raped them or whatever the fuck. Now, what ends up happening is most people are still in this sort of phase of, did he though? Like, did he actually do that? Fuck, that's quite a heavy accusation. Blizzard comes out and bans his NPCs. Now people are going, wait, Blizzard wouldn't just ban his NPCs if they didn't have fucking evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Blizzard must know that this happened, so it must be true. And then it comes out it isn't true, and Blizzard doesn't even fucking apologize. They just destroyed a man's life almost. But, you know,
this is fine.
Fuck it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
So, scumbag after scumbag company, bro. That's the issue here. All of those fucking Blizzard assholes.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's really annoying.
Let's switch gears a little bit and actually get into gaming.
Barely talked
about gaming in the gaming podcast. We're sorry, guys. Hopefully, people haven't tuned out by now. But let's go ahead and give everybody the fantastic news that Taliesin reported on in his weekly reset. Did you watch this week's weekly reset?
No, I have not.
I
watch a lot of Taliesin's videos.
I like watching it because, like I say, I like watching points of view that a lot of times disagree with stuff that I agree with, because I think it's important to have your viewpoints tested. But it's not just that. I also find the weekly reset entertaining, so I also just like watching it. But so during the weekly reset, one thing that stood out to me as someone that cares a lot about the health of World of Warcraft, particularly for new players and players that want to engage in the game in various different ways, is obviously gearing, because gearing is important. Yeah. So I had seen in a video prior from Preach about these events that are going to be taking place, which I don't remember the actual name of the events. It's something about storm. The currency that the event uses is storm scale sigils. So this is going to be like some type of dynamic events that are going to be happening throughout the world, and you'll be able to participate in them. And I don't know what the frequency with which these storm scale sigils drop or not, but you're supposed to get a certain amount of these sigils, and then you can get gear using the sigils. Now, Preach already said that this gear is something that's like a little bit below LFR on the maximum level that you can get it. So it's not particularly useful gear, right? You can go into Mythic 0 and get gear that is comparable. You can go into Mythic Plus and get gear that is way better. So it's not even like a big type of special gear. So
it's basically like a weaker catch-up gear kind of thing.
Yeah, so at least that's the vibe that I'm getting, as well as the description that Taliesin made of this gear as well. Seems like it'd be the case. Yeah. Now, Taliesin said in the previous iteration of this system, because they changed it in the latest build, in the previous iteration of this system, it could take you anywhere from like 18 to 19 weeks to get a full set of this gear. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're talking about upwards of 4 months, more than 4 months to get this lower than LFR gear. Okay?
That's a lot of fucking work.
That's way too much time to begin with. Because the thing is, the limiting factor is the number of sigils you can get per week, which is 4. You can only get 4 of these sigils per week. And then
so it is proper time gated.
Yeah, it was properly time gated. Now, we don't know if that has changed, if you can get more, but basically what happened is they increased the amount of sigils that this gear was going to require. They made it mandatory for you to also get another set of gear before it, because previously you could just get the sigils and get like the good gear. But there was also another set of gear that would be accessible through this dust that also probably comes from these invasions, right? Now, you have to get the dust and one sigil, buy the piece of gear, and then get more sigils and upgrade that piece of gear.
Oh, okay.
And so some of those pieces of gear, like to give you an idea, how many sigils do you think a pair of wrists would cost? Like wrists. One of the most basic, like the most basic pieces of gear in the game. Like just the wrists.
Yeah. So if you could get 4 a week, I would argue 2, 3 maybe? Like that would be a good one for me, is 3. Because
how about
3 would actually be perfect for me.
How about you add 10 to that?
13, 14.
I mean, it's 13 if you include the one that you need to do with, because you got to do the dust and then the one sigil
so
for that one.
12 for the upgrade.
So and then 12 for the upgrade. And I'm just like, okay, so for starters, let's just even take away the fact that you got to buy the dust one with the sigil. Let's just look at this one. Let's just say, okay, it's 12 sigils. And assuming that Blizzard stays the same with the 4 sigils a week, it's going to take you 3 weeks to get a pair of wrists.
That's heavy.
That's fucking impressive.
I would say chest, 3 weeks is fine. I would say pants, even 3 weeks is fine. Shoulders, 3 weeks is fine. And helmets, 3 weeks is fine.
Fundamentally disagree. And you want to know why? You want to know how many weeks it takes me to get a pair of wrists in Final Fantasy XIV?
No.
You don't want to know?
I don't know. I want to know, but I
asked you if you wanted to know, and you said no.
Oh, okay. I meant I don't know. I have no idea how long it takes you.
So in 1 week, I can actually get 4 wrists. If I wanted to. Easy. Obviously, nobody does that because, you just get the thing.
You just need the one, yeah.
And so you get one, and then you can also get a ring, and then you can also get a choke piece. What's it called? A necklace. And then piece, you can also get an earring. All in the same week when you start, if you just do a normal raid, which normal raids in 14 are easier to organize than when it comes to World of Warcraft because there's, automatic queues and shit like that. But, and that is good gear. And you can just go in, and in 1 week you can get 4 of these pieces. Or if you want to, you can get 1 chest piece because the chest piece requires 4 tokens. Or you can get boots and gloves on the same week. So it's
okay, I have one question. What does this gear look like? Is it like transmog gear?
I have no idea.
Or is it?
I haven't seen.
That's why this would change things for me. So on the face of it, if this is just a normal way of gearing in the outside world, this is bullshit, right? This is clearly, obviously bullshit. It should not take that long. If, on the other hand, it is transmog gear, so this gear looks really awesome, it's got some really cool effects to them, I don't mind that grind, because it changes it from being a gear piece that you really need to a gear piece that you really want.
But how does a player gear up in the open world then? Because I believe that was one of the features that they said we're going to be allowing players to gear up without needing to go into Mythic Plus, without needing to go into rating and all of that stuff. And this seemed like it was the way that they were going to be doing it. So it's like, is it okay for a player that doesn't do Mythic Plus? It's like you're just expected to grind for 4 months to get your set?
Well, I think all of that would depend, right? Because we know that there's going to be like quests that every single one of the factions will give you, or Dragonflight will give you every day that you can do, and we don't know if those will reward gear. So that might be the way that Blizzard wants you to gear up in the open world, is from the gear that you get from doing these quests. Because the way I understood it, I might completely misunderstand, but it seems like this gear only comes from a special type of invasion. So it's a special type of thing that happens in the game that you can do, and that's how you get this gear. It doesn't seem like it's from. Is it from all bonus quests or world quests? Or
no, it's not. It's not. It's the invasion things that you're talking about. At least that's my understanding of it as well.
Yeah.
Because
So I would
ultimately,
argue,
none of us have beta or alpha because Blizzard doesn't like our asses. It's that simple. So,
true. I should actually fucking check if I have beta now. I probably don't.
It's your
but
turn to give Blizzard a monthly MAU.
Yeah, I haven't checked in like months. So let's see. I mean, it's beta now, right? Maybe Blizzard forgave me. And they're
No,
like,
they
let's
hate
give
you.
the play a bit of beta.
No. They definitely didn't give me that much, I know.
All right, let's see here. In development, I have Wrath of the Lich King. I have Classic and Public Test Realm. I have nothing else. Never
Sounds
mind.
familiar.
I have,
yeah.
I do
like,
not have access.
It's okay. We'll continue being on the sidelines, and we will continue keeping you on the straight and narrow, calling out every single time you do something wrong, and we have to teach you how to do it right. See, the thing that I was thinking about is potentially like the one thing that would make this make sense, because right now, according to Taliesin, the gear isn't dropping in the current beta. So the sigil things, they're not dropping. So I don't think that they know what is the limit that you can get per week. So an increase in prices, I think it would be reasonable to expect that the limit of sigils that you can accrue per week would increase. As a matter of fact, I think the most reasonable thing is make it unlimited. Who cares? You're talking about pre-LFR gear.
I would either make it unlimited, or I would make it so that the gear can drop just naturally. So you could just get this gear from an invasion. So it's an RNG thing. And the system is just basically a little bit of bad luck protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that case, it makes sense for it to take a really long time, because the way they actually want you to gear up through the system is RNG. They want you to do it and randomly get rewarded some nice pieces of gear. But this doesn't make it feel like you wasted your time if you get no gear, because you still got the tokens. And those tokens will eventually purchase pieces of gear, right?
You were pointing out the fact that it would be cosmetic gear, right? So I'm going to give you a comparable example. Again, in 14, because 14 is just a very easy game to compare to this, right? Eureka.
Yeah.
Eureka in 14 is a place where you can get tons of things out of Eureka, including mounts, pets, millions of stuffs. But let's just call out what I would consider to be two of the most desirable things that people go into Eureka to get. And that is your relic weapon, because Eureka has a relic weapon associated with it. And the other one would be something called the elemental armor, which is an armor that is extremely shiny. Now, when it initially came out, it was time-gated because it was the content itself was not developed. So what they did was like, okay, here's area 1, right? So it was a brand new area that you would go into, and you would grind that area out. And anything that you had in that area, there are systems that help you like on a weekly basis to level up faster, which is a challenge log. But beyond that, even after the challenge log, you can continue to grind experience if you want to. You can continue to grind the crystals that you get for that zone. You can continue to grind nonstop. No problem. Yeah. And it's not like, oh, you were gaining 100% and now you're gaining 1%. It's not like that. You don't get as much experience as you're getting from completing the challenge log, but you'd still get a decent chunk of EXP. You could grind it out if you wanted to. But now that they have all 4 zones in there, you can grind nonstop from beginning to end. You'll probably die somewhere along the way because it's still a long grind, but you can grind nonstop from beginning to end and get every reward in Eureka in a couple of days. If you want to do that grind, you just can't do anything else in the game. If you want to really just like engage in that, because it's still a huge time commitment. So it's like, why is it that I'm able to do these things without all of these fucking time gates in World of Warcraft? It's like, no. Even if, again, taking into account what you said, assuming that it could potentially be, the whole thing, it's because it's just a cosmetic. Why does it need to take fucking 4 months of investment to get a cosmetic? I'll tell you why. Because subscription fees. That's why.
Well, yes, and again, we have to talk about just how good will these be, because there are grinds in Final Fantasy XIV for some of the ultimate weapons and some of the relic weapons that is incredibly long, right? You get relic weapons that can take months of grinding.
The grind for ultimate weapons is kill the ultimate boss. That's it. That's the grind.
Yeah, but I mean, like
the relic weapons. Yes.
I mean more ultimate weapons is like the best transmog weapons that you can get.
Yeah, they're actually called ultimate weapons, and all you got to do is kill the ultimate boss.
From what I've heard, people say the relic weapons are the things you want because they're like the fucking cool, shiny, bitch-ass weapons.
Yeah, let me just tell you why people say that. Because relic weapons are easier to get than killing an ultimate boss. It takes longer, but it's easier.
Yeah, but I mean, the take longer, right? It's a grind.
Yeah.
And I've always said the way that things should be is if it's something that you need, it should be obtainable at your own pace.
Yeah.
If it's something that you want, it's fine for the game to determine how long they think it should take you. So
within
this can
reason.
either be achieved. Yeah, obviously within reason, but this can involve just giving the player an absolute astronomical amount of grind, which Final Fantasy does sort of with the relic weapons, where the grind is just fucking real. So it is probably going to take you a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months, to grind that out, depending on how much time you have. Whereas if it's something you need, so you need this in order to progress, it changes the dynamic. Now, if you make people farm something for too long, it changes things. So the way I look at it is from the what do I experience when I receive this reward? Which is one of the big gripes I've had with World of Warcraft gearing for quite a long time now. So when you get a piece of gear, the idea is that you should be very happy with the fact that you've just got a piece of gear, right? That's what gearing is. You should be happy with that. The problem with World of Warcraft gear, more often than not, is that you don't feel happy with the gear that you just got. You feel relieved that you finally got this piece of gear. That, to me, is not a good emotion to have when you've just gotten something that you really wanted. You shouldn't feel relieved that you finally got this weapon. If you feel relief at the fact that, okay, it's finally fucking done, something's wrong with the pacing there.
I agree.
Taking way too long. You should also not have it so short that people feel almost nothing for getting it. Unless, of course, the challenge to get that. So a great example of this would be Mage Tower. Mage Tower, to get the skin for your artifact weapon, was dog shit, easy, and fast. If you were skilled enough to actually complete the Mage Tower challenge. So all you had to do was complete one fucking challenge and you would get the skin. But that challenge was difficult enough that it took some people weeks to actually do because they had to learn how to fucking do it. And that's fine. So if you want to do it quick and easy, then or if you wanted it quick, put it behind a challenge that is worthy. If you want to just make it a grind, put it behind a grind, but then it can't be something that's necessary. Then it has to be something, and before people come in here, yes, dude, but transmog is necessary. Go fuck yourself. Transmog is not necessary. We're talking about the difference between having bread to eat and having caviar to eat.
Bro.
Right? Both are food, but one is absolutely necessary. If you don't have it, you'll die. The other is, this is food, but extra. Right?
The ultimate form of the Final Fantasy XIV player is coming after you, after what you just said. You don't need glamour. What? What has this man just said? Glamour is my sole reason for existence.
Yeah, and it's fine, but still, it's not like you need glam in order to complete anything else in the game, right? That's basically the point.
Yeah.
You don't need caviar to exist. Bread is fine. Caviar is nice, but it's not.
I actually don't like caviar.
To be honest, yeah, I hate caviar.
Caviar
but most
sucks.
People don't. Most people don't, and it was the only thing I could think of.
Actually, I think that most people also don't like caviar. The problem is caviar has become this commodity that so many people is like, oh yeah, it's a status thing to eat caviar. They actually don't like it. They just eat the shit out of spite. They're like, oh, I love it. I can afford to eat caviar. It's so good. It fucking sucks, dude. Yeah. It tastes like ass. Like fish ass.
I've had caviar once in my life. I was not fucking impressed by what I just ate. It was actually quite horrible. But then again, I'm like that with almost all things in life. Like my friends.
Then again, you eat fucking hamburgers with a fork and a knife. Like, what is wrong with you?
The way it should be eaten. But I went with my friend's mum and dad once. We were all going to a restaurant, and they have like an obscene amount of money. So they took us to this. It was like a Michelin star restaurant. And the guy or the chef brings out this steak with chocolate sauce on. Right? It's like chocolate sauce steak. I couldn't get through that. It was so miserable,
dude. That is a terrible combination. That is so bad. Oh my god.
Yeah, but it's like fucking super expensive, right? Because it's a great cut of meat. It's a fillet. Now, fillet is brilliant, and you can just do salt in a fillet, and it's gonna be nice. But no, chocolate sauce all over the fucking fillet. It was miserable because it's a chocolate sauce red wine kind of thing, so it creates a terrible fucking taste. I remember and also the portions were like fucking bite size at base, right? So I remember after the restaurant, right, we go through this whole experience because apparently it's an experience that you just have to, like, it's not just food. No, it's an experience. Half the shit that they brought out, because everything is really small, but it's like 17 courses. Half the shit that they bring out, I don't eat because it's fucking miserable. Like one of it was like egg and something else, egg Benedict, I think. Like mini egg Benedict.
And it's like, fine, but I don't know how
I
they did it.
I don't eat eggs.
Okay.
I don't eat eggs. These were quail eggs. It was like a quail egg Benedict fucking thing. I don't eat that shit, right? There's like a whole bunch of shit that they brought me that I didn't eat. So afterwards, I remember we go home. I get in my car. My friend's like, where the fuck are you going? I'm like, dude, I'm going to get McDonald's. I'm fucking hungry and I couldn't eat shit there. And he's like, no, it was so good, man. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? What was good? What was good? The only thing that was good was the pudding. Right? I kind of liked the pudding. It wasn't too bad. Everything else was shit.
So I've had that once in Brazil. Like there was this this thing where we had, it was like an end of the year celebration type thing. And so they brought out a buffet. And I go into the buffet, and the only meat that is there is in this sauce that I can identify. So I grab the meat, I grab a little bit of rice, and I'm like, okay, it's whatever. And let me tell you something. Brazilian food is usually amazing. Like Brazilian barbecue, it's the best. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, Korean barbecue. You guys have no fucking idea, okay? Brazilian barbecue kicks your ass. Like easy mode. It's not even in the same league, okay? So Brazilians usually have amazing food. But for some reason, this buffet that I was at, they had this weird meat with a sauce, and I was like, okay, I'll just get this. I start eating the meat, and I'm like, this tastes sweet. And it's like, sometimes there are occasions where meat can taste sweet, like sweet and sour pork, Chinese food, stuff like that. It's good. But like in that situation, the sweetness of it was really weird. I'm like, it's chocolate. It was meat with chocolate sauce. And I was so disgusted. I'm like, this is terrible because, and I'm someone who's open-minded. Like I'll try any food that is edible that you will make, like, even if it's like a weird combination of flavors, I'll try it out. Like, listen, I'll even put sugar on some of the Asian dishes that I cook because it gives it a little bit of an interesting flavor and it's good.
Yeah.
But like chocolate sauce on a steak, bro, it was disgusting. I almost vomited, and I never vomit, okay? I very rarely vomit. But like after eating that, I was like, the whole night I was going like fucking holding it in. Like, oh, it's the end of the year. Like disgusting, bro. What the fuck?
I'm a very sort of, I prefer hearty meal.
Yeah.
Cheap as shit. Doesn't even matter. It's like, I go, especially, so where I live now, right? It's like a small town on the coast. But right next door is a place called Somerset West. It's like the town just next to us. And it's not even like you can know that it's just next to you because it's all connected. It's like one big place, but it is actually three different towns. You just don't realize that you're driving through three different towns. But this town, Somerset West, is... Okay, first and foremost, it's got the largest collection of Germans anywhere in South Africa, and it's people that come from Germany they live here half the year and then move back to Germany the other. So whenever it's summer in Germany, they go back to Germany. And when it's summer here, they come back here. So they're sort of in between these two countries. And as you can imagine, people that do that, very rich. So this entire town, everything in this town is like hoi polloi shit, right? It's like for the rich and famous kind of shit. And here's me, right? I don't give a fuck about that crap. So I go, I've been looking for a good Asian restaurant to get some takeout every once in a while. And there's an Asian restaurant quite close to me, but the problem is they close early. They close at like 6 o'clock in the evening. And when I'm done streaming, I'm usually done just after 6, so can't go there anymore. And I find this other place that just down the road from me, but it is in Somerset West. I walk in there. Beautiful restaurant, absolutely gorgeous, which is weird for Asian places in South Africa because most Asian places you go to, it's like borderline health code violation, right? It's like you look at that place and you go, probably going to be a few cockroaches in my food, but that's just going to add a bit of flavor here.
A little bit of crunch.
It's all good. Yeah, right? It's like proper mom pop store vibe, right? It's usually the whole family that works there and shit. This one is like, I didn't see a single Asian person in that fucking restaurant. Like, there's no Asian people, but it's an Asian restaurant. And all they sell is an entire menu. What should have clued me in was the fact that when I got there, all the cars outside are like BMWs, Porsches, Mercedes-Benz, like all these giant SUVs. But I go in there, the restaurant is packed with all these people that's drinking wine. And, these aren't just sake wine. This is like fucking proper, very expensive wines. And they give me the menu, and I look, and I can't understand a fucking word of anything on this menu. And I go, where's your, like, chow mein? And she's like, what? I'm like, your chow mein.
Oh, no.
Like, and she's like, sir, we only sell sushi. I'm like,
that's that's not Chinese, though. That's Japanese.
Exactly. It says Chinese on the fucking sign. It says Chinese food on the sign. And she's like, yes, but we only do sushi. I'm like,
sushi's not Chinese. What the fuck
am I doing in here? So I finally find a restaurant that I can go to that is proper Chinese food. It is double the price of the one close to me. Double the price.
Yeah.
It comes in these small little containers, right? So whenever you get Chinese in South Africa, it's like a giant fucking container like this, and it's just stacked with noodles, right? It's just fucking stacked to the brim. This one's this small. The noodles comes in a separate container. It's not even mixed. It's like, here's your fucking
It's like IKEA. It's a do-it-yourself.
Yeah, but
it's a project.
Fuck that. Fuck that. Just mix it for me and give it in a container that I can actually eat from.
Nah.
So, yeah, I hate that. Just, dude, people are so fucking pretentious.
Yeah.
It's like, we have to be... Oh, I have money now, so I have to obviously not eat what the normal people eat.
This is why I've learned how to cook my own Chinese noodles, so I'm no longer dependent on the reliability of a Chinese place next to me. I've learned it's about the oil that you use, which you got to use sesame oil on there. You got to put a little bit of garlic, season that stuff, get some meat in there, put a little bit of sugar, some soy sauce. Dude, it's like I'll make the noodles so good, so goddamn good.
See, the problem that I have is the closest Asian market to me is in Cape Town. That's like a good 45-minute drive.
Oof.
And I hate Cape Town. I absolutely fucking despise Cape
Dude,
Town.
I don't even have Asian markets close to me, though. I don't have Asian markets. I just straight up
where the fuck do you get like your rice noodles and shit?
Dude, I just buy ramen noodles. It's whatever. Just make them out of ramen. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but you see, we don't have ramen. We have a thing called Maggie's 2-minute noodles, which is like the original ramen.
That's like spaghetti almost,
Much thicker than normal ramen noodles.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen.
You don't have like instant ramen noodle packets in there?
I have never seen that.
Oh no,
it's
sorry.
all Maggie 2-minute noodles.
Feels bad, man. Anyway, let's take us back. We were talking about caviar because it's like the whole thing about you don't need cosmetics and all of that stuff. But So the whole point ends up being like, if this is gear that is expected that players will progress and actually use it, which, you know, I kind of feel like the indicator that it has an item level is like, if you're doing cosmetic only gear, don't put an item level on it. It doesn't make sense. Because that way players can tell, okay, this is cosmetic gear. Otherwise, they look at the item level and you're like, okay, so this is actually something that is meant to be used. And it doesn't make sense that it takes so long to acquire.
If the item level is lower than LFR, right, and maybe sort of similar to normal world gear that you would get, then I guess it sort of speaks to itself that this is probably more of a transmog item. But I do agree with you on the face of it, because we can only go with what Blizzard have shown us so far and what Blizzard have shown in the past. And I'm almost convinced that this is once again Blizzard not understanding how a game is meant to be played. And we have to understand something. Blizzard is driven primarily by engagement numbers.
Yeah,
it's all about that engagement. So in their minds, if they give you this thing too quickly, they lose that engagement because you're not going to stay subbed if you've already received the things that you wanted.
I mean, see, so I don't agree with that idea. I'm assuming you're saying that as in this is what they think, because I definitely don't agree with the idea. I definitely don't agree with the idea. It's like, oh, when I get all my gear, I'm going to unsub. It's like, well, what the fuck have I been gathering all the gear for? I've been gathering all the gear so that when I get all the gear, I unsub. Then what has this all been for? Then I might as well unsub from the get-go and save myself the trouble.
Yeah, but this is exactly how Blizzard operates, because the
dumb.
People in charge. This is where sort of we spoke about this last week or the week before last week, where we spoke, I think it was last week, where we spoke about Twitch and how the CEO of Twitch said that they went the way of Silicon Valley.
See, I checked that article. You were wrong. It was not the CEO of Twitch. It was DJ Wheat, God damn it.
According to Ballular, it was the CEO, and according to
Ballular said it was DJ Wheat as well. You were wrong.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Yes, you are.
DJ Wheat was the one who said that.
Because he said it like years ago. I remember reading the article after watching Sam Harris. Harris Haller. You know who that is?
Yeah, I do. Senpai Gaming.
From Alpha Gaming, right? Yeah, Senpai Gaming now. Not Alpha anymore. He covered this like 3 or 4 years ago with Devin Nash. And they covered the article, and I remember reading the article, and it was in that article that I'm pretty sure, like I said, could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the CEO
regardless, let's just say somebody at Twitch said that. Doesn't matter. That's not the end of the world.
It doesn't really matter. I could be wrong, right? I don't particularly follow everything at Twitch. I follow only what's pertinent to me. But anyways, you know, they went the way of Silicon Valley, where the people that work there no longer really watch Twitch, nor do they really play games, so they have no idea what exactly needs to go into a platform. And this isn't something that we even had on the list to cover, but it is something that we should mention at least. Twitch is removing the host feature.
Yeah, I talked about that. That is dumb. That is so fucking stupid, dude. Yeah. Not to mention, the most egregious thing about the whole thing isn't even the fact that they removed the feature. It is what they say in the document to justify the removal of the feature.
Yep.
Their suggestions. Oh, if you want to like do the hosting thing, then just tell your viewers to go to their channel. And I'm like, motherfucker. What is wrong? Have you actually ever pressed the start streaming button? Have you ever spent more than 5 minutes on someone's channel on Twitch? Do you think we can convince our audience to do anything? Do you know how hard it is to get 10% of your audience to click a fucking poll that's embedded in their fucking chat? And you want me to tell them to go to another channel? Are you insane?
I mean, it's not even that pisses me off. That's not even the worst part of it. It's the fact that Twitch said, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's literally, it comes down to hosting hurts engagement with the streamer, because, and to an extent, they don't lie, because when you host someone and someone comes to your channel and sees that you're hosting them, they will chat in your chat, and this has happened before. I'll see people sort of chatting in my chat, but the other streamer can't see shit because you're chatting in the chat that of the streamer that is offline. The fix there would be for Twitch to, when you host someone, just link your fucking chat to their chat. And that way, when they're chatting, they're chatting to the actual fucking streamer, right?
Here's an even easier fix. Split your chat in half. You know, like actually just have like, make your chat, okay, your chat's on the top side, and then the hosted streamer's chat's on the bottom side. So that you can see streamer chat, and then just put a legend on it. Streamer's chat, hosted streamer's chat. And you can instantly tell what is happening. You can, because like even I would imagine that even the dumbest motherfucker in the world can see two chats on a web page and notice that the streamer is answering to all the things that are going on the bottom chat and not answering to anything that's going on in the top chat. I would imagine even the dumbest motherfucker in the world can realize, oh, I guess they're only paying attention to this chat over here, huh? I guess I'll type here. Oh.
Or just notice that there's actually nothing going on in the streamer's chat because he's not fucking streaming right now, right?
But no, it's much easier to just nuke someone. The actual reality of this is, and let's just be completely honest, Twitch wants more control over who they get to push. It's just literally that simple. They want more control over who they get to push, who they get to suggest to you, as opposed to you making a decision or the streamers you watch making recommendations for you. They want to take as much power as possible away from streamers and get more power for themselves. And people will say, oh, Rurikhan's exaggerating again, conspiracy theories. It's like, listen, if you stream, this would be like a no-brainer for you to understand. Literally a no-brainer. Like you think, particularly when it comes to Twitch, you think everyone is going to make it on Twitch? No. As Asmongold has said multiple times, when it comes to Twitch, it is literally a zero-sum game. Which means in order for me to be successful, somebody needs to not be successful while I'm streaming. There is a limited audience, and I do mean extremely limited audience. This is the reason why I do Twitch for fun, and I don't actually rely too heavily on what happens on my Twitch.
Well, so just to finish the thought, they said that this hurts engagement. But a 3-minute ad every hour doesn't. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Twitch?
That doesn't hurt engagement at all. What are you talking about?
Your ad policy is a hell of a lot worse for engagement than the fucking host feature is. Hey, you want to talk about making things better for the viewer? Fucking remove your goddamn ads. And oh my God, let me not even get worked up over this. The whole point of people getting discovered, because this is the thing, what people need to understand. Because a lot of people are saying, oh, but they're not removing the raid function. They're just removing the host function. Do you think the raid function is safe? No, they're removing the host function now. The raid function is going to be removed,
of course,
as well at some point.
It's a matter
they're just
of time.
testing it out with the host function now. Because, and here is really how this works. One of the tried and tested methods of growth on Twitch is to find 3 or 4 people that you're friends with, and then just raid each other. So basically, I'm online now until, say, 6 o'clock. Then I raid my friend that started his stream at 5 o'clock. He's going to stream until like 12, 1 o'clock. And then he's going to raid his friend that started, and so on and so forth. And so they'll raid each other, and that's how you grow. Because technically speaking, you are all live 24 hours a day. Yeah. So you get to grab viewers from everywhere, and eventually you grow massive. So there's people that actually follow this strategy and eventually get to 10, 20, 30,000 views just by doing this, because that's a tried and true. But it also means that some people don't benefit from this at all. Twitch wants to be able to say, well, we like this person because they fit whatever boxes we want, and we can push this person, right? So we control who gets big on our platform. You don't get to decide. That's literally the only reason Twitch is doing this. Control. It has nothing to do with viewer experience, because hosting has never been an issue. Now, to the smaller streamers that's sort of going, oh my God, this is going to kill fucking small channels. No, it won't. It is well proven that raiding does not help you. It helps the person that raids you. So if I'm a bigger content creator, so I have 100 people watching me and you have 20 people watching you, I rate you. The 20 people that is in your chat now see that I have more viewers and they go, oh, he must be doing something right. I'll go check him out when he's live again. So I am more likely to steal viewers from you than
Not
you
steal,
are ever likely to get viewers from me.
I don't think steal is the proper word. I mean, I think you're being a little bit too. I don't think that's how it works on rating. At least I hope it's not, because I rate people all the time for fun. I hope that's not the effect.
It really is. So Devon Ash and Senpai Gaming have done the breakdown of this. They've looked at what happens when you raid someone, and the numbers suggest that the person raiding, especially if it's a bigger streamer raiding a smaller streamer, the person raiding almost always walks away with a net benefit. Like, they will get some of your viewers because people want to go where everyone is.
It's like that blob game that was the whole thing on Twitch, that the little blobs that absorbed each other, so the bigger blob just keep absorbing everybody.
Exactly. Because people, I mean, this is playing into one of the most basic human psychological things, right? People want to be where everyone else is. So when you see that this person just raided, but he has more viewers, you're almost naturally inclined to go, oh my God, I want to be with the guy that has more viewers because everyone is clearly having fun there. Now, at times, this can work the opposite way. So you can get, but that is the exception to the rule. But to speak to your point where you said this is a zero-sum game, and that's why I used the word stealing viewers, because it is a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
The last time they did the breakdown, if you were to equitably divide all of the potential viewers on Twitch among all of the streamers on Twitch, every single streamer on Twitch would have 3 viewers. That is literally the breakdown.
I'm surprised there's at least 3 whole viewers. I expected everyone to have like 1/3 of a viewer or something like that.
No. It luckily gets
you get 2 arms
viewers
and a leg that's watching you right now. That's about as much as you can get.
The literal thing is, right? That's why the affiliate program says that you have to have 3 viewers, right? At least 3 viewers for an extended amount of time, because that is the amount of viewers that there is available for every single streamer on the platform. Of course, that's not how it works, because the 0.05% of Twitch streamers have like hundreds of thousands of viewers, and then everyone else has like no viewers. That's how it works on Twitch. So it is 100% a zero-sum game.
This is the same thing that I always tell people, and even Asmongold has kind of said the same thing to people. But I mean, I've been saying it long before he has, which is like, listen, you want to be a streamer? First you start like on TikTok or on YouTube or on Instagram or on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then you make your stream. Like, you don't just start on Twitch, because when I say there's literally no chance whatsoever for you to grow on Twitch, this is not an exaggeration. You will never grow on Twitch by simply like booting up a stream and not having like anything else happen. Unless you're like, oh, I'm best friends with Asmongold or something, then maybe he can raid you, but even then you have to convince people to like stick around and whatnot. Like, imagine this. A lot of people, they have this notion that they're like, dude, I'm like 1 raid away of being super well known. Let me tell you right now, I'm someone that has 20,000 followers. Imagine, not even Asmongold, I think there's people that even have way more viewership, but let's say Asmongold during the launch of Wrath of the Lich King, which is probably going to be like fucking 200,000 people, maybe 400,000 people. So during the launch of Wrath of the Lich King, and I would play Wrath of the Lich King as well, which I'm not going to, but imagine the scenario. I would be playing Wrath of the Lich King, and during Wrath of the Lich King, Asmongold with his 400,000 viewers would raid me, and I would be like one of the most entertaining streamers, which would not be the case either. But again, let's entertain the hypotheses. I would be one of the most entertaining streamers that you could possibly imagine. The net effect of that would be maybe I would get 10 viewers. Maybe.
You get it.
Maybe.
You would get a fuck ton of followers. You would get a hell of a lot of followers. You'd probably get like 1,000 followers. But of that, so I've been streaming on Twitch now for about 2 years, 2.5 years, maybe. Full time though, I've basically been streaming on Twitch for maybe like a year and a half at this point. I have 12,000 something followers, and I get about 100 to 120 viewers per stream. Right?
Yeah,
that's it. Those 12,000, by the way, have all come from YouTube. That's it. I've done the polls. I've done the fucking I've asked the question multiple times. Every single one of my viewers, with the exception of, let's say, maybe 1%, come from YouTube. The only time I have ever had viewers discover me straight on Twitch was with Final Fantasy. Because when I was streaming Final Fantasy, my viewership went up to like 500 viewers at some point, and then I'm literally
MSQ
I think
Andes.
I was like the second largest streamer in the Final Fantasy category for like a good 2-3 days. Now then you get discovered because you're literally right on top.
Yeah.
But those were MSQ Andes. I think of all of them, like 2 stuck around, and there's maybe like 2 that there's probably like 3 that keep hounding me to come back. Like, they'll pop into the stream every once in a while and they'll be like, hey, when are you playing Final Fantasy again? I'm like, soon, bro. And then they leave. No, and I have 2 that's like permanently there, right? They sort of enjoy the stream. But that's the thing. Even when I had 500 viewers, as soon as I stopped playing Final Fantasy, all of them left. And that's Twitch in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's like,
it takes
those aren't
very
your,
long.
Those aren't your viewers. Those are Final Fantasy 14 viewers. That's the thing. And
yes.
And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. It's the same reason why we try to target audiences in all of these platforms, because, you know, it's just the way that it goes. But yeah, it's Twitch, man. It's one hell of a place.
Twitch is a fucking nightmare, but you know, it is what it is.
Continuing with the WoW discussion, there was a topic that you linked to me this morning before we started, and I went ahead and I read the whole post, which to me was hilarious because
it was quite funny.
I don't know if the blue poster that was in there was intentionally being what is the description of this? It's not fake, but intentionally spreading misinformation, or if he actually believes the bullshit that he was saying. Now, there are certain things that he says that are correct, yes, but there are also other things that I would like to talk about that I feel are wrong. So the topic is, and the article that you sent me just said, time to end the mega servers in classic World of Warcraft. Now, I have a question for you because I haven't been following this. What the fuck is a mega server in World of Warcraft?
All right, so the mega servers that they're referring to there
wait, it's not mega server, sorry, it's mega realm, right? That's the
mega realms that they're referring to here are, well, it's a combination of things. So these are all the realms that were very popular. So more and more people started opening account or starting characters in those realms. And just by virtue of, like we just spoke on the Twitch thing, more people, more better, I want to join where everyone is.
Yes.
Just by that nature, these realms exploded. So they are fucking massive. And then all of the other realms barely have anyone. So they struggle to even put groups together because the only thing that is there are bots. There's like a shit ton of bots and then no one else. So these mega realms sort of started up. This is also due to some shit that Blizzard did with realm mergers and things like this that sort of brought people, like, created new mega realms. But that's basically what a mega realm is. So it's not like Blizzard have a policy of mega realms where they're trying to make one big realm. It's more just organically it was created into a very, very big realm.
So what I'm wondering is, like, from a technological standpoint, there's nothing special about a mega realm. It's like it's still the same servers as a regular realm.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did Blizzard let that happen? Like, what the fuck, bro? Why would you allow this to happen? It makes no sense. And why would you even give it a name? Why would you call it a mega realm? Like, what the? It's like when I read mega realms, I was thinking, okay, so they probably put up like some special hardware or something that enables support. Particularly because when you think of mega realms, you instantly think ESO, mega servers, right? But no, it's just a regular realm. It's just called a mega realm because it's got too many people.
So obviously it has more connections than the smaller realms because Blizzard continuously has to add more connection server capacity because there's more people constantly coming. And the funny thing is, the more server capacity they add, the more people come because more people, more
who'd
better.
have thunk it?
Right? So you're basically building your own problem. Now, the Mega Realm thing isn't official. Blizzard doesn't officially call it Mega Realms, but everyone in the community refers to them as Mega Realms because they are so much larger. We are talking some of those realms. Some of those realms, I think, is like almost like between 50 and 100 people for every one person on another realm. So these realms are huge. But the reason this is happening is actually, again, due to a fault from Blizzard. Because Blizzard keeps insisting on having realms. Now, the way this guy explained it was so fucking bonkers to me. Because the guy says that, they can't just keep expanding these realms. And it's not about layering. Because layers don't increase server capacity. Layers just mean that you see fewer people interfering with your game. And, that's all true.
Yes.
But then he goes, there is a limit to how many connections we can have on a realm. And it's like, no, there isn't. There isn't. There is a limit to how many connections this specific hardware can handle, but you can add as much hardware as you fucking want. The reason this keeps happening is because you guys keep insisting on having this 20-year-old technology called realms.
Yep.
If you took all of the servers that you have, because every single one of these realms operates on its own server infrastructure. If you took all of the server infrastructure that you had and you merged all of it, so you linked it all up, you would have one giant mega server that could probably feed everyone. Like everyone could log into it because it would have more than enough capacity. The issue is that you keep going.
But you'd have to layer it. You'd have to layer it at that point.
Yeah. But I mean, they're already layering it, right? So the layering thing is just to make the experience a little bit better. But ESO layers, right? ESO has their own sort of
and Final Fantasy 14 layers and Guild Wars 2 layers, all of them. Yeah.
And before people go, oh my god, layers, we don't like that. You won't be able to play a game without it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the engine is not going to be able to support all of those people in the game. Yeah, sure.
Even if the engine could support it, let's just do a quick fucking test here. You're in the game, you want to kill a mob. You're competing against 10,000 other people wanting to kill the same fucking mob.
Yeah, just look at the start of an expansion, and that stuff used to happen all the time. You wouldn't be able to finish your quests because there's so many people killing the same mobs. The game just flat out does not work. And some players do have this misguided notion, that's exactly what I want. It's like, no, you don't. Shut the fuck up.
No, what you do want, what I agree with, you want healthy competition. It's nice to see, oh my god, they're tagging it. Fuck, I need to tag it first. That was always nice. But it's nice when you're competing against 4 or 5 other people. It's not nice when you're competing against 1,000 or 10,000 other people. That's why layers exist, so that you only compete against 4 or 5 other people rather than 10,000 other people.
And so the thing is, there is no real easy solution to this because they can throw hardware at it, but probably the way that the code works, because it's always been developed thinking about realms, it's like the code. This problem should have been solved ages ago because, like you've so aptly pointed out, this is old ass technology, and I'm going to be bringing another game into this discussion in a bit. But like, this is old ass technology that they did, which is limited back in the day. And they never bothered addressing it, which is still one of the biggest problems that we have in MMO launches today. Yeah. Because people don't think about this shit. They're like, oh yeah, we'll just have all of these servers. And then there's this notion of like, oh yeah, but when you have a realm, there's the notion of a realm community. It's like, motherfucker, the only reason that notion exists is because of limitations that prevent us from having a ridiculous amount of players on there. You want to know what the community should be? The entirety of the World of Warcraft community in one server. And yes, there would be layers and all of this other bullshit, but at least you would be able to just straight up play with your friends. Like I could get on right now and say, hey, Accolonn, let's get together. Let's go do a dungeon or some bullshit. And we'd be able to do it. We can't. Do you play on EU servers even?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least you play on EU servers. No, I
Final
know.
Fantasy I play
I know you've made the terrible mistake of going to North American servers in Final Fantasy for some strange reason, but anyway, it's like, so in World of Warcraft, at least we are in the same region, so it's possible for us to like create characters and stuff, but there was even the potential that we wouldn't even be in the same goddamn region, which is still not linked. And I had a discussion the other day in my in the comment section as well with someone saying you can't just hook up a cable. It's like, of course you can't. I mean, when I said hook up a cable, it also involves a little bit of code development, but from a hardware standpoint, yes, you hook up a cable and the problem's solved. You hook up a cable between two servers and the problem is solved. It's just that simple. And if you tell me no, then I will ask you, then how the fuck can I connect to both an EU realm and the US realm from where I am? If I can do that on my end, I'm pretty sure Blizzard can fucking figure it out.
We are talking about incredibly old infrastructure.
Yeah, but why is it incredibly old with the amount of money that it's making? Like, listen.
It's not so much that...
Think of it like this.
Yeah?
When I started creating content, I was working on an iMac in 2009.
Yeah.
As I continued making content, guess what happened? I bought a computer. And then after that computer got old, I bought another one. And as that one got older, I bought another one. I invested in my infrastructure to be able to produce better content. The problem with a lot of these companies is they fucking didn't.
Okay, but the thing is, so it's more a case of it's relics of the past. It's not so much that, so Blizzard's infrastructure is as new probably as you can get. It is new servers, new everything. The issue is that due to the limitations that existed in the past, because that is true. In the past, the reason games had servers and realms was because, well, there was no way. There was a limit. There was a hard limit to how many things you could connect to a single server before you would just run out of connections.
There still is to an extent.
Yeah, but those we have the technology now to artificially increase that, to add more servers and also link those servers together. The only thing that would really hold you back now would be database connections, because again, you're not just connecting to the server, you're also connecting to the database. But that's again a coding problem that you could get around. It's not like it's the end of the world. Servers, as far as I'm concerned, is a relic of the past that needs to die.
Realms,
the only games that realm servers, depending on
the concept of realms. The concept of realms is what you're talking about. Not servers can't die. We need them.
I mean the servers as we understand them in the gaming industry, not the physical server that we actually have to connect to. But yeah, realms are a relic of the past that I think need to die. The only games I would accept realms existing on would be something like the upcoming Ashes of Creation. It is a game where the economy is completely player-driven, and it is incredibly fragile because not only is it the economy that's player-driven, it's also the content that is entirely player-driven. Now when you have something like a mega server, it can get to the point where one person can make literally no impact on the world. Or even a group of 10 people can't make an impact on the world because there are billions of people hanging out. So I can understand why you would want maybe a couple of servers there.
But here's the situation.
Or a couple of realms there.
Here's what I would posit, okay? If you need to have realms on account of the fact that, you want to have this player experience that people are fighting for territory or whatever, right? And building up these different nodes that Ashes of Creation is going to have. One of the technologies that needs to be in place is I need to be able to visit other realms. So you need to have like a home realm or whatever, but I need to be able to go anywhere I fucking want.
Yes.
That needs to be
I also need to be able
thing.
to move my character permanently freely to other places. If you're going to have this, you're going to be locked here because the experience is here. It can't be charged. It can't be behind a lengthy fucking connection process or reconnection process. It has to be instant. It has to be free. So that if I'm on a realm that I hate because this node just developed in a way that I really didn't want, I can transfer to a different node and there I can do my things. And before people go, but this is not going to, how do you stop people from just buying things cheaply on this realm and fucking the economy up in the other one? Simple. Just by either one, creating a hard limit to the amount of stuff that you can transfer, or two, you just don't interfere with it. That's part of the economy. You make that part of the meta game. People can move their characters back and forth. You can put a hard limit on it if it's really something that's
the
way
that it works in 14, for instance, is you can buy things from markets and other servers, but you can't sell things there. You can only sell on your server. So you can only really influence your server, although you can kind of like create 2 characters and transfer stuff over and whatnot. So you can kind of like game the system a little bit. But even still, you know.
I would argue you can make that a feature in your game where people can absolutely buy from other realms and servers, or you can hard cap it. There are ways of just going, if you do transfer, you can't sell for the first month on another server, right? Or you can only take over this much of a currency or this much of a thing to the other realm. That way you dissuade someone from just, that's the whole thing they do. They log on, move characters, log on, move characters, things like that. But no, ultimately speaking, just back to the original, the mega server thread, the way the guy explained it there was almost as if there's literally just nothing they can do. People need to stop complaining. They just have to lock these servers until people play with other people, because that's just, get fucked.
Yeah. They should have improved the infrastructure, both from a hardware and a software standpoint, to the point where you would just be able to have more players in these realms and figure out the layering, figure out whatever you have to do, just figure it out. I mean, that you're getting paid literally millions of dollars, and here's the interesting thing. It's like they're complaining about, oh man, there's so many players in our game. We can't, oh, poor us. There's so many people giving us money every month. We can't even give them a decent service because there's just so many of them. And we have so much money. Do you guys understand? We need to buy a bigger building to put all of our fucking money in. Shut the fuck up, bro. Nobody wants to listen to your fucking whining. You're making literally fucking millions. Sort it the fuck out. It's not my problem. It's literally not my problem. And I don't give a fuck about these excuses. I mean, but the worst part about this post, the thing that really triggered me, is how this guy just straight up misrepresented how realms work by saying, oh, these realms are so incredibly healthy. You can totally just transfer over to these realms, and they're so healthy. Look, they have like 3 times the amounts they had back in Wrath of the Lich King, and in some cases 2.5 times the amount of players they had back in Wrath of the Lich King. And it's like, motherfucker, you know damn well that you're in the hype cycle right now. You know damn well there's going to be ridiculous amounts of concurrent players right now up until the launch of Wrath of the Lich King, because it's still only on the pre-patch, is what I understood from that post. I thought it had already launched, but so you're still in the pre-patch. There's thousands upon thousands of players playing the pre-patch, and eventually it's going to launch. There's going to be thousands upon thousands of players playing the launch, and then 1 month into the launch, it's going to go like, and there's going to be like almost no players in these emptier realms. This is just a fact of life. Those realms are going to empty so incredibly fucking fast 1 month into this expansion that it's going to be insane. So it's no wonder to me that these players are trying to go onto these fucking mega realms or whatever the fuck, because they want to ensure that when 1 month into the expansion, it's not going to be a fucking ghost realm, which is what is going to happen to a large majority of the realms in Wrath of the Lich King. I know it was the most, it was the most popular expansion. It's my personal favorite expansion of World of Warcraft, yours as well. But it's like, at the end of the day, if we look at it critically, 1 month into this launch, because the game is figured out, there's very few things that they are changing, and everybody's going to be able to do whatever the fuck they want within this initial month. And then you're going to have people coming back for the releases of major content patches, and 1 month after that they're going to leave again, because that is just the cycle that has come to be expected. So there's definitely going to be a ton of these realms that he's misrepresenting as incredibly healthy that are going to be fucking ghost realms. It's just the truth, and I think it's disgusting that dude's just like, oh yeah, these realms are so healthy, you should definitely transfer over, it'll be great, your experience will be so good.
Yeah, but what's interesting also is the fact that this guy is speaking as if there weren't dead realms back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Going, oh, it had 3 times the amount of players that it had back in the day. All right, fucking asshole. Back in Wrath of the Lich King, me and my entire guild moved our asses from Sylvanas, the realm, over to Shattered Balls. Okay? Or Shattered Halls, for those of you that don't get the joke. Shattered Balls was called Shattered Balls because we moved due to the fact that we could physically not raid. Like, we would log in on a Wednesday on the Sylvanas realm and go into ICC, and it would be a lag fest. Like, we could not get, and we were on Heroic Lich King. So we were progressing on Heroic Lich King. You can't fucking get the Lich King down if you're lagging like shit. We couldn't even kill the first boss on Heroic ICC. So Bone Storm would fuck us up. Everything would fuck us up. So we eventually said, screw it, enough. We can't keep doing this. So we moved, all of us transferred to Shattered Balls. This is also the moment where I convinced my entire guild, hey guys, if we're gonna move realm, let's move to the Horde. And they were like, no, we don't want to play Horde.
You terrible fucking person, dude. What the fuck?
And I was like, guys, Shattered Halls is the only realm that is, because it had a free transfer, by the way. That's why. There was a free transfer to Shattered Halls. And I told them, guys, Shattered Halls is a Horde-dominated realm. We're not going to get players on the Alliance side. And they were like, okay, yeah, you are correct. There's more Horde than Alliance. We'll move to the Horde. So I finally got my fucking wish to play my Orc Warlock that I always wanted. But okay, so now we're on Shattered Balls. It was us as the top guild on Shattered Balls and another guild. These were the only 2 raiding guilds on a realm that was completely dominated by the Horde. Like, there were almost no Alliance players on this realm. I remember going the first Wednesday because we would usually, back on Sylvanas, we would have to arrive at the raid a half an hour earlier to clear out the fucking Alliance on Sylvanas. Sylvanas was still a Horde-dominated realm, but there were so many Alliance players there that you would first have to kill your fucking way through to get into the raid. So we would all have to arrive at a half an hour earlier. On Shattered Balls, we arrived half an hour earlier, and we were all just sort of standing around going, we'll just walk in, I guess, early raid. So we all just walked in. There was no Alliance there. And we had a whale of a time there. But one of our players, one of the mages actually, decided to quit the game shortly after we left Sylvanas.
Yeah. You changed to the Horde.
Stuck. Well, he actually quit because of real life problems. He was
no. That was the excuse. He's like, no. You guys changed to Horde. Never playing with you guys again. And he quit. He quit the game, dude. That's how badly he took it.
We had another mage that was really angry at the fact that we had to quit because he was forced to play a troll mage that he hated. But he liked the trolls more than he liked anything else. But he wanted to be a human mage actually. But I didn't give a fuck about that. We were all going Horde and we were all happy about it. But anyway, so we couldn't fill the mage's spot for almost 2 months.
Fantastic.
Just because there were no players. And this was a realm dominated by the Horde back in Wrath of the Lich King. So
was it
this
an
guy
RP
is
realm?
pretending. No. It was a proper PvP realm. But this guy, we eventually transferred from Shattered Balls to Ragnaros just so that we could actually fucking get some raiding done. Because Ragnaros was a little bit bigger, but not quite as big as Kazakh or Sylvanas or anything. And then later I transferred to Kazakh because I was done with fucking struggling on small realms. Because even though Ragnaros was like 2 or 3 times the size of Shattered Balls, it was still too small to actually get anything done. Jeez. So this guy is walking around pretending like, oh, we didn't have any server problems back in Wrath. These realms are 3 times the size of Wrath. Bitch, please. Like, 3 times the size of Shattered Balls means you have 6 guilds that is actually raiding. 6 that is actually raiding. Because there were 2, and it was 2 when we transferred there. Which means it was 1 before we fucking went there. So, what are you talking about? Like, 3 doesn't mean shit. And what you said is so fucking true. Because people saw this happen on Classic. They saw this happen in TBC Classic. Same thing. Realms are healthy at the start, but then when people start to quit, it becomes a ghost server. And suddenly you can't find groups, you can't find raids, you can't do shit.
And the best
now you have to transfer to one of the big realms.
And the best part is that the best part is that this is not even something that I followed in the classic thing. This is just like common fucking logic. It's just common logic when it comes to MMOs. Of course, the realms are going to be full right now. This is the hype of the hype. It's the pre-patch.
Yeah.
Like, you can expect Dragonflight realms to be filled to the fucking brim during the pre-patch. It's definitely going to happen. Yeah. And during at least the first month of the expansion. Extremely healthy. And then after that first month, it's going to sink like a stone. It's just like the way that it goes.
It has to, right? And it's not a bad thing. It's not because the game is shit or anything.
Yeah.
It's just how most people play MMOs. Very few people, and this might come as a shock to a lot of the viewers, but very few people actually play MMOs permanently.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people play MMOs whenever there's new content. They'll go in, they'll do the new content, and they'll fuck off, and they'll go play other games. Because for most people, there are other games on the market. It's not just the MMO. And that means that if you want to be on one of the biggest realms, because you know you're going to be playing longer than just a month, and you don't want to be the one stuck on a realm that is empty and there's no one else to be playing to play with you. This is just another one of those things that I spoke about in the previous fucking thing. Blizzard is full currently with a bunch of people, same as Twitch, that don't play video games. I'm convinced don't really play World of Warcraft and make decisions purely based on the fact that this is what every other company would do, rather than actually understanding the problem that players are dealing with, because they're not actually playing with players. Take the best example I have of this, Ian Azikostas. Ian Azikostas is actually a developer that plays World of Warcraft. He plays World of Warcraft quite a lot, actually. With one guild that he's played with literally his entire life, the Elitist Jerks Guild. That is his guild, by the way. The website, Elitist Jerks, he fucking started that website. It was his website. He ran that website. And then he started working at Blizzard. He still raids with that exact same guild, if I'm not mistaken. So Ian Azikostas has no idea what the ordinary player goes through. We checked, was it, I think 9.1. In 9.1, we went, it was about 3 months into 9.1, we checked out Ian Azikostas' profile on Battle.net. He had 11 out of 12 bosses, I believe. I think it was 11 out of 12 bosses on normal. So he didn't even do Sylvanas on heroic. On normal. He had all the heroic bosses down. And then on Mythic, he had everything down. He hadn't touched Alifar. Like, he didn't have a single Alifar kill. And a lot of players were immediate, like a lot of defenders, but Blizzard dick suckers, came out and said, dude, he's a Mythic Raider, he doesn't need to do Alifar. He is the lead developer of World of Warcraft. If there has ever been a person that has to do every piece of content there is in the game, it's the guy who literally fucking makes the game. Because how are you going to know what is the problem with Alifar if you don't physically fucking run Alifar? And before you go, but they're obviously internally tested.
I will hurt someone.
With Alifar, the problems with Alifar is often the other fucking players you're doing it with, not Alifar. Like, there's nothing wrong with the Alifar content.
I will actually
the problems
hurt
with
someone.
the content comes out with the fucking players that you do Alifar with. So you can't experience that if you're not fucking running the content with normal players. This means you take your normal characters and you log into Alifar and you run it with the ordinary riffraff.
Nah.
Because that's where you get an experience.
Now tell me something. Does that sound like a good time, though?
No. But that's
exactly. And Ian Azikostas is like, well, I don't want to have not a good time, so no, I'm not doing that. Get Bob the intern to do that. And Bob the intern sitting over there slobbering in a puddle of his own piss. They're like, oh,
so I know, I personally know 2 developers that work at Blizzard Entertainment. I know them decently well. The one doesn't raid at all, nor do they do dungeons at all. Never raided, never do dungeons. They're one of the developers that work on World of Warcraft.
I mean, I can almost get never raiding, but never doing a dungeon?
Yeah, the only dungeons they do is for the questing. That's the normal one. That's it. I can tell you that their job almost requires them to do those things.
Oh, great.
Their job, they're not dungeon developers, let me put it that way, but what they do develop, the team that they work on in WoW, if you're not doing dungeons and raids, it's going to be very difficult for you to know what's the right thing to do in certain circumstances. The other person barely plays the game. Like, barely. I mean, they played the game, and this is Shadowlands, and they told me this straight up. Like, not even lying. They know I would never betray who they are, but they told me this straight up. The game, they played the game during alpha, when it was friends and family, alpha.
And it was more than enough.
They played the game. Yeah, well, according to him, he played the game enough to sort of go, okay, I know what I need to know, and he left. And that's it. He was done. From there, he didn't really touch the game. He would play the patches the same way, just play it during the alpha, so when it's closed, he sees what it's all about. He does the testing that he thinks he needs to do, and then he's done. Again, you're not playing with the ordinary player. You're not getting the experience that the ordinary player is getting from this. So you don't understand when the ordinary player tells you, because the thing is, Blizzard wants this, and they say this so often, they want useful feedback, right? They want constructive criticism. The problem with constructive criticism is oftentimes it's very difficult to criticize something that you don't understand. Especially if you're a normal player and you don't have any game development experience. There is a good chance that your best criticism is going to be, I'm not having fun. And that's really the best you can do, because you're not a game developer, so you don't quite understand why you're not having fun here, but you know that this isn't, whatever the fuck this is, it's not fun. It's the opposite of what fun should be. And that's the base criticism you have. Now, if you're a developer and you're actively playing the game alongside these players that is complaining, you might see them chatting in chat and sort of say, oh my God, it's this fucking thing again. I fucking stand this. It takes so long. Let's say, for example, there's an RP scene that plays out in between the fights. And you see everyone in chat going, oh my fuck, can we just skip this? Now, those players go on the forums and they go, I hate that fight. It's such a boring fucking fight.
Yeah.
Prior to you actually playing with those players, you wouldn't know what the fuck they meant. Is it the abilities? This is not constructive.
We have to rebalance
but now because you have played with these players, you know that the place where everyone complains is in the fucking cutscene, right? In the RP thing, they're like, oh, for the love of fuck, this is 2 minutes of RP. A great example of this, we go back to Wrath. The original lines, the voice lines from Arthas, when he walks down those frozen steps for the first time, is so fucking cool. So, Fordring, shall I lay down my weapon and beg for the light's mercy? It is an epic line. When you hear it 100 times a fucking night, less epic. Far less fucking epic. There is a moment where you sort of go, Christ, let's just start the fight. This is 2 minutes of RP before we get to start the fight. Every pull. It would have been nice if we could skip that. It would have been nice if there was a skip fucking RP button, but there isn't, because Blizzard didn't do it. They didn't understand that this is the kind of stuff that people are complaining about. Not everyone uses those 2 minutes to buff up and pot up and all the rest of it. Some people just want to get into the fucking fight. So yeah, it's sort of like until Blizzard makes that connection to their player base, there's always gonna exist that disconnect. And I feel like this can literally circle back to our original conversation about the gearing thing.
Yeah.
Blizzard, because they don't play the game themselves, might not quite understand why slowing this gearing down isn't the fun that they think it is.
And they also don't understand that, like, players aren't just going to stop playing the game because they got geared. Like, again, this is something that I think really doesn't make any goddamn sense. Oh, I got all the gear I wanted. Yay. I can stop playing the game now.
Very few people actually do that, I think. Because
but there is this notion that even by players, they purport this notion that it's like, oh yeah, I have all of the gear, guess I'll stop playing now. They have this idea that like, oh, if you get the gear too fast, you're going to stop playing. Gear's never been a motivator for a lot of people. Like, what the fuck?
I would actually say, for me, I quit before I even get the gear because I'm not having fun.
Makes sense.
So with Shadowlands, I basically played until I saw all of the story, and then I was done. That was the moment that I logged in, was when I saw the entire story. With Korthia, same thing. I logged in, I got a bunch of catch-up gear just by doing Korthia. And as soon as I saw the entire story of Korthia, I was like, all right, that's me, job done. I didn't even gear, because the gearing would have been far too much of a commitment for me. And because I have no interest in actually raiding, I didn't see the point of gearing. Now, this is exactly the problem that Blizzard is facing. Unless this thing, the way in which you get this gear, is so super fun that it motivates me to keep doing it, I am not going to do it just to get that gear. The gear is not a motivator for me. The gear is a nice reward, but the motivator needs to be the actual content. And just making the content longer it isn't actually making it more fun. You're just making shit content longer. So it just gives me more of a reason to go, never mind, I'm just going to not do this.
So I also wanted to bounce something off of you with New World. So New World's coming up with an expansion in October. Well, an expansion is like, it's not an actual expansion, like a new zone they're adding into the game. I think everybody gets it for free if you own the game, as far as I'm aware, at least.
Hey, so I'll get it.
The what?
I'll get it. Nice. Free shit.
Exactly. So
I told you what I do with free shit, right? I own like 3 versions of fucking Tomb Raider. Because they give it away for free, I have to get it.
But they're also adding like new weapons into the game and all of this stuff. And because I follow Brian from Work to Game and Ginger Prime, don't know if you've ever seen any of his videos, but because I follow him, I was watching one of his videos where he was talking about New World, and I was like, okay, I need to talk to him because I don't want to go read a fucking bunch of patch notes that usually don't even tell me the things that I actually want to know about the game. So I scheduled up a video with him. It probably will have released before this podcast goes live, but I scheduled up a video with him to talk about New World because I actually liked New World a lot. I thought it was a fun game. The biggest problem was they had a massive explosive launch. They still have old server architecture as well, very much like we discussed with World of Warcraft. You know, they have their limited realms and all of this nonsense, and it took them forever to implement server transfers, which is hilarious when you think that a game launched in like 2021 without server transfers. And I'm just like, bro, really?
It's like basic. Before you even have a fucking game, you should have server transfer sorted out, right?
But no, they didn't have it. They eventually figured out whatever. But what ended up happening is I wasn't able to play with friends because my community was all over the place. Because in that first week, they promised something like, oh, we'll give everybody free transfers. And then it took them like a month to get that shit off the ground. And people just like stopped playing because we couldn't be playing together, right? On top of it, crafting was a fucking nightmare to grind it up and whatnot. Gold making was problematic. But the biggest problem for me was the fact that if you wanted to do dungeons, because like I've told you and you know, dungeons is my favorite thing to do in MMOs. You want to do dungeons, you needed those stupid keys that were bind on pickup and that you basically had to craft them. Or if somebody else crafted them, you had to take that person into the dungeon. You couldn't even buy these fucking keys off of the marketplace, which would have made some sense. But no, you would have to like craft the keys and then, or take someone that had a key with you to go into a dungeon. This was like the biggest deal breaker for me. So I was talking to Brian about this, and they've eased up on the gold making thing. According to him, they solved like 99% of the economy problems that were generated from players. You know that there were some players who transferred over and then they could just like give gold and then re-log in, and their gold was still back on the character because they were like frozen in some database error. So people just like flooded the economy with gold. But that apparently has been mostly removed, according to what he told me. Like 99% of the gold was removed and duped items and shit like that. So I was very surprised that was the case. Dungeons no longer needed keys, and I was like, okay, I think I might jump back into the game. How do you feel about those changes? Like, what are your thoughts on New World right now?
All right, so I'll start with an incredible story of fate. So I start New World. I played New World during the beta. I got into the beta really, really early. Basically, Twitch streamer, Twitch partner, I got beta access basically from the beginning. So I played a shit ton of beta.
I didn't.
The game starts and I get in. My Twitch chat chooses which realm I go to, everything like that, right? I don't make any of those decisions. It's too much effort. I hit randomize on the character a couple of times to get a character that looks decent enough, because he's going to be filled with armor anyway, so it doesn't matter what he looks like. So I get into the game. I'm questing. I'm living my best life. And I do have to say this. The world in New World is probably one of the most gorgeous worlds in video games ever.
It's very immersive.
Fucking phenomenal. Yeah, it is really immersive. The crafting system, mind-blowing. Like, if they could have the level or the dungeon and raid experience that World of Warcraft has with that crafting system, oh shit. That game would actually be fucking phenomenal.
See, that's another thing that he told me, by the way, before you continue, is that they've basically added a system that appears to be similar to Mythic Plus. So you can go into a dungeon and you'll get, like, what did he call it? Mutators, I think, which are kind of like modifiers to that dungeon, and you can get like a modifier on the level of the enemies as well. And all of that stuff will get you better rewards as well as more challenge, which I was like, Mythic Plus, what?
I would prefer raids, because that's usually, I prefer larger content than smaller. But I think they do need a lot more, like, quote unquote, world bosses and like actual things that make the game feel a bit more like an MMO and not just rely on this stupid PvP system that they dreamed up, because I hate PvP. So that was sort of one of the things that I hated most about the game, is that it's so heavily focused on PvP that I don't give a fuck about. But yeah, the game is absolutely phenomenal. It plays really well. I told you at the start before, I told you offline that I truly did not like the way the combat is operated in, because the combat, you can very clearly see they were inspired by Dark Souls, inspired by Elden Ring. They wanted to do a live action sort of Dark Soul-esque kind of game. And then they fucked up on the one thing that's important in a Dark Souls game, and that is the actual things you fight. Like, the things you fight need to actually engage you. It can't just be same, but different. Which is what it had quite heavily. But I still hold up. Oh, the fate thing. So I'm running around. I'm about level 13, level 14, and suddenly I have two people just jumping up and down around me. I'm like, are these viewers? What the fuck's going on? And I get a message, and it's like, Shift. It's one of my friends. I just, by accident, chose the realm where all of my friends are playing. So that was lucky, right? I was instantly on one of the biggest realms and also with all of my friends. So that worked out really well. I got to max level, and yeah. I was
just burned out.
Impressed.
Yeah.
I was not impressed. I was like, no, the fuck do I do now?
I burned out earlier than that, mostly because I was trying to do the game in a way where I would be able to craft all of my own tools. And so I needed to be leveling up my crafting. And then at one point I was like, okay, I need to figure out what's the more efficient way of leveling this, because I'm not actually enjoying doing the crafting. I just want to get that done. It's not fun for me, whatever. So I go in and I look it up and they're like, yeah, craft 56,000 of this item. And I was like,
easy.
56,000, you say? That seems reasonable. And that was like one of the biggest things. I was like, oh, damn. And then I started thinking about the dungeon thing, and I was like, And so eventually I stopped playing. But it was a game that was always on the back of my mind. I was always curious, like, if they would improve on some things, I'd be down to give it another shot. And with what I spoke to Brian about, like, it made me very much want to give it another shot.
I'll be on board with trying it again, and maybe because I was so disgusted with the game, I deleted both my characters because I had 2 characters just because I wanted to play offline.
It's not even pay to win. You only do that if the game is pay to win, Accolonn. Didn't you get the memo?
No, I deleted all my characters. I deleted the game. So I'm going to have to reinstall the bitch just so that I can play and then restart, which I don't mind that much because, to be fair, so many things have changed that I would have started over anyways, just because the last thing
I'm not starting
hate
over.
Doing this.
Fuck that noise.
The reason I almost always want to start over, especially with the amount of stuff that's changed, you're at max level. A lot of things have changed that you were supposed to learn
along the way
as you were leveling up. But now, because the game thinks, oh, he's already max level, he's already learned these things, you're coming back in and you're like, the fuck is this? What is this? What am I supposed to do here? That's not how that worked. What the hell am I doing?
I played a little bit last night. I installed it on my laptop at home, and I played a little bit last night. And it was exactly what you just described. I was like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I look at the map and there's all these different markers, and I'm just like, I don't remember any of this. I have no fucking clue what's going on. But at the same time, I look at like the amount of skills that I grinded up. I also don't want to do that part again. Fuck that. So it's like, I'll have to figure it out. But I'll boost you, dude. Like if you do play it again, like come to my server. I don't know which server it is. We'll talk about it. But like join because I think my server was like merged down because they had the whole thing where they'd be merging down servers and shit. So I was merged down probably 50 times over. So I'm in a completely different server now. But just let's do it. Let's do it together. You'll come to my server. We'll boost it up. We'll see. First of all, what faction were you though? This is important.
Oh, Jesus.
There was the religious zealots, the alchemists, and the marauders.
Oh, no. I chose the marauders on my one character.
Good. Exactly.
And I chose the like syndicate kind of thing. The
alchemists
thing on the other character. Yeah.
No, but you're going to be a marauder. Let's be marauders together. Fuck the other people. Listen. That was probably Accolonn. Yeah. We don't want to be smart. And we don't want to be religious. We just want to be strong. So it's like the alchemy people are the smart people. The religious people we're not going to be, the zealots. And so the only thing is left, we got to be the strong marauders. It's just that simple.
Easy. But that was actually, by the way, the thing that pissed me off most about the game. So they have all these voiced quests now, and you can talk and, they tell you stories and shit.
Yeah.
And I thought, making a decision to be a marauder is going to lead to like a crazy amount of story. And it didn't.
No, it's not. It's the same thing for everyone as far as I can tell. But that's another thing that Brian told me is that they are adding cutscenes into the early game experience. Like more cutscenes into the early game experience, which I find interesting.
But it's not even about cutscenes for me. It's about that game has so much potential. The amount of story that game can bring. Because you have to think about this. It's an island, right? That have been hidden from humans basically forever. Okay? There's so much magic and chaos and shit that happens here. It's very eldritch, inspired Lovecraftian kind of thing. You can do so much. And then the story is super fucking flat. It's like the shallowest story ever. And I was just like, dude, I am so disappointed in this.
I mentally checked out of the story at some point because I felt like a lot of the things that the characters, it's all voice acted, but a lot of the things that they were saying, I'm like, okay, yeah, you just gave me like a giant blurb of text to tell me to go kill 10 boars. That's impressive. I'll go kill the 10 boars now. So at some point I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Because it's just like, it got boring. It's not like there's actually any special thing happening. And it felt like on every city, it would be like, yeah, you're trying to flesh out this character, but at the same time, you're just giving me some basic bitch thing to go do. Then again, I only made it up to level 40 to be fair. I only made it up to level 40 and then I burned out and then I stopped playing. But the good thing is with the business model that they have, I mean, the only thing they're charging for is like cosmetics, from my understanding. I don't think you can buy power. And so you basically bought the game for like 40 bones or whatever. And if I can come back, I already got like 150 hours out of it. If I come back now and I play a little bit more, you know, if I enjoy it, I enjoy it. If I don't, I don't. I still feel like, hey, I got my money's worth. It's whatever, you know?
I personally, like, see, this is where a lot of companies, and they do the same thing. World of Warcraft falls into the same pair. They do not understand what dialogue means.
Yeah.
Because according to them, dialogue is whatever, right? Character can say anything. It tells you to go kill 10 boars. That's dialogue. That's not actually dialogue. That's just a fucking instruction. And I don't mind not having voice lines for that because it happens to be much quicker for me to just look at the quest fucking text and be like, oh, you want 10 boars? I'll just go fucking kill the 10 boars. Dialogue is what Final Fantasy does.
Yeah.
Where it's an actual dialogue between two people. I am person 1, you are person 2, and there is information being passed between us. I am part of the conversation. You're not just talking at me. You're not just telling me to go do something.
That was the thing that I was thinking about right now, that I didn't articulate that properly. But yes, it did feel like New World characters would speak at you, not with you. And as a matter of fact, in most MMOs, if you think about it, they speak at you, not with you. And it definitely feels like in 14, they do speak with you. Even if they give you the bullshit choices that don't actually change anything. It's just like an RP thing to express yourself.
See, but that's, those choices that they give is what I made a video on this like fucking almost a year ago at this point probably, but I made a video on this. It's what I call false choices.
Yes.
It's creating a false choice, but in a actually I think I termed it false narrative choices, because false choice generally is a very bad thing, but a false narrative choice is a tool that can be used to increase engagement or at least immersion. Because yes, technically speaking, when I make the dialogue option in Final Fantasy XIV, my dialogue option is going to change absolutely fuck all to what is about to happen. It's going to happen exactly the way that it happens. But because I made the choice, I feel like I made the choice.
Exactly.
Right? I feel like I was at least acknowledged as part of the conversation. Whereas in World of Warcraft, more often than not,
by the way, sometimes some of those choices do have like an impact. So for instance, I remember in a Stormblood quest that I was doing, where you're supposed to train like this kid. I don't remember if this is part of the MSQ or not. I think it is, but it's not a spoiler thing for the story. But you're supposed to be training this kid. And the kid asks you for tips on how to deal with a specific monster. And you look at the monster and it's very obvious. Okay, this monster has a hard shell in the front and you're supposed to attack it from the back. So they give you like 3 options or something like that. I forget what it is. And one of the options is, attack it from behind because it was obvious, right? But there was another option that just said, hit it really, really hard.
I chose hit it really, really hard.
Yeah, it's like, and it's funny because that does change the interaction. Guy goes in, hits it, and then he comes back like all beat up. He's like, it didn't work. Right? And it's just a little interaction, but it does make it there. If you just tell him to attack it from the back, it goes like, okay, it goes in, he wins, whatever, cutscene moves forward. But the best part about that, I felt like, was that after you do that, you can tell him again, no, you have to hit it even harder or something like that. And he goes in again and he eventually beats it through brute force and he comes back and he's like all wasted. But people are telling me, oh yeah, pick that option. And I was like, okay, fine. So it's funny to see that in some situations it does give you a different scenario, which is cool.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not, but that's the thing, right? It's not different in that he's still going to beat the monster.
Yes.
And he's still going to live. It's not like a choice where just hit it really hard and then he dies and that's the end of the fucking quest line, right?
That would have been cool, though.
He's
just
still
imagine
gonna
him fucking dying.
True. But, that's the thing. That's why it's called, in my opinion, a false narrative choice.
Yeah.
Because technically speaking, your choice matters nothing. But the fact that you had that choice means that you feel a lot more involved in the story as it's playing out. Whereas if you didn't have that choice in the first place, you're just watching things play out. World of Warcraft, I think, is one of the worst. not as bad as New World. New World was just miserable.
Yeah.
But World of Warcraft, what makes World of Warcraft storytelling so piss poor when it comes to the questing experience specifically is it's not even that they're talking at you. It's almost as if they're speaking as if you're not even fucking there. Like, it will be two characters conversing with each other, and you're basically watching a movie of two characters speaking to each other. And you're not there. And then they send you. So say, for example, they have this thing that they have to figure out how to kill. They'll send you to go collect some bear asses as if, oh, just get out of our way while we're fucking figuring out a plan to kill this thing. Go kill these bears. It's like, okay, but will the bears help? No, fuck off. Yeah. We're busy. Listen here, kid. Go
the grown-ups are talking.
Adults are busy. Yeah. It's like, bro, what the fuck? I'm the champion of Azeroth. And
I'm just imagining a character going on a friggin' baby rage tantrums. I'm the champion of Azeroth! Respect me!
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? What the fuck? Why am I out here collecting flowers for you?
And then I'm imagining Anduin looking at you is like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
Exactly. It's just that a lot of the time, the quest does not rely or does not sort of relay what is actually happening in the world. You're dealing with a giant crisis where Zuval is trying to destroy the world, but don't forget to collect 6 flowers. It's like, dude, the fuck will these flowers help?
And
we've got to...
The thing that ended up happening for me, which is at one point I mentally checked out of Shadowlands questing because I was reading every quest. Because I was genuinely trying to get back into the game. I was giving it a fair shot, even though I was pissed off about things in previous. I was like, I'm giving this a fair shot. Maybe it'll work out. Let's see what happens. And I'm reading every quest. And as I'm reading every quest, it's like there's almost nothing of substance in what they're saying. So it's like, it's inevitable that at one point my brain's just like, hey, bro, listen, I'm going to go get some takeout. I'll catch you later. Okay. You keep doing whatever the fuck it is you're doing. My brain is just like, it's not being engaged like in any way because there's very few things of substance in every single quest text. And then suddenly I come to a cutscene and I see like the spirit of Uther and my brain comes back in and is like, hey, I got the pizza. What's going on? And I was like, I don't fucking know, dude. You were outside this whole time. What the fuck? How am I supposed to know now? That was kind of like the effect that happened during Shadowlands questing to me. It was so dumb. But
But this is where you have to put in, because writing good dialogue takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
Right? You need to put a lot of effort into that shit to make sure that the lines that's being presented is of substance and it includes the player and it tells the story necessary. This is where Final Fantasy is just light years ahead of almost every game on the market these days. I don't know if there is, maybe with the exception of Star Wars, because Star Wars is the same. The dialogue is just absolutely incredible in Star Wars, and it's all voice acted, so it's even like extra cool. Not the one thing that is bad about Star Wars is some of the voice acting is really terrible. It's ARR levels of voice acting, but the whole game. But it's good dialogue, good story, well delivered, well driven. And I feel like for WoW, it's just a case of you used to get away with flavor text. Because that's really what World of Warcraft's quest text is. It's flavor text.
Yeah, it's flavor text.
Flavor text is fine as long as your game isn't story driven. Like if you don't care, if players care about the story, flavor text is fine. But since Blizzard makes such a big hoopla of story, flavor text falls flat.
Since they started making a big hoopla of story, because like up until Wrath of the Lich King, you could argue, story, it's important, but it's more about the lore of the world, right? And even in Wrath of the Lich King, to an extent, like there's a little bit more there than there was in the previous ones. But after Wrath of the Lich King, I felt where it's like, okay, now we're actually going to tell this big overarching narrative, and all of these things are going to be happening.
Oh yeah.
And then at that point, the questing style that they have just does not match the storytelling that they're trying to do, which, makes it ridiculous.
But at least until, like, I would say probably Legion, up until Legion, Blizzard had this tried and true method. You want the story by the books. The game is going to give you flavor. It's going to give you backstory. It's going to give you some visualization of what the fuck's happening. But the actual story happens in the books. And they were proud to fucking say that. And I didn't have a problem with it back then. Because it was like, okay, fine. This is how it is. The problem now is that parts of the story, they try to give you in the game. They fail because they don't understand how to do it in the game. Then the other part of the story comes in the book. So you have to play the game and also fucking super hard focus on all the things that isn't being said to you. And then you also have to read the book. And then you kind of have to marry these two things in order to actually understand what the fuck was actually going on. It gets broken.
Yeah.
Because you only get like portions of the story depending on where the fuck you read it. So make a decision. If you want books, no problem. I hate the book thing, but no problem. Put it all in the book. Make the game just world building. Because that's basically what World of Warcraft used to be. The game builds the world. It builds the giant narrative arc that is going to happen here. The books color it in. So the books basically give you the personalized journey of what happened here. And that's fine. The issue now is they sort of go, okay, this narrative game, this narrative book, this narrative game, this narrative book. But the only way you can understand this is if you put them together. It's okay, but unless you're going to release a book every month.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
This doesn't fucking work. Because we spent the whole of Shadowlands not having a clue what the fuck is going on. And then at the end of Shadowlands, you release the Sylvanas novel that actually explains to us what the fuck had just been going on for the last 2 years. And not perfectly, but it did at least explain a lot of things. If they, for example, and I realize a lot of people that's just mega negative about World of Warcraft the whole time, but if they actually explained Zuval the way that they did in the book, people wouldn't have hated Zuval as much. Because he's not perfect after the book, but he's a hell of a lot better after the book than what he was before the book.
The problem remains he should be like that in the game, not in the book.
Yeah, or they should not care about it at all in the game.
In the game.
And they should put all of it in the book. That's fine too. If you want to put everything in the book, you guys are greedy, you want to make your money, I fucking get it. It's fine. But at least then I play the game for the gameplay, I read the book for the story. Whereas here it's sort of like a thing, I play the game for kind of the story, not the whole story, but kind of the story. I get gameplay that isn't great, but it's fine. And then I have to read the book for the rest of the story. Because the game doesn't
I don't necessarily agree with like the whole thing about put everything in the book and nothing in the game. I think that if your game has a story, you should be able to understand it by playing the game. That's where I stand on that.
But you're talking about Perfect World. I'm talking about Blizzard World.
No, but here's the thing. I don't care what Blizzard has to do. Fucking sort it out. I'm a paying customer. I don't give a fuck. Like, why do we have to give a fuck about all of these things? Why do we have to make concessions? I don't have to make concessions. I'm a paying customer. There's better products out in the market. I will play the better products. Like I even already said, the only reason I'm playing Dragonflight is because I'm a content creator. If I'm a consumer, I'm not even giving you my fucking money. You get my money because I want to be able to warn other consumers whether or not they can be confident enough to buy your shitty-ass product.
Yeah, but Rurikhan, you're forgetting one thing.
Am I?
Yeah. Bobby Kotick
needs a new yacht. Yes.
And I think it is incredibly heartless of you to not keep that in mind whenever we're talking about World of Warcraft. Like, what the fuck, bro?
I keep that in mind every single day. I have Bobby Kotick in my thoughts. The poor, I always get reminded of like the one time where it's like, dude, people are being so mean to me on the internet. It's hard for me to go on dates. I hope you never get laid again in your life, asshole. I don't give a fuck. But of course you will because you have yachts. You'll be getting laid plenty. Don't worry about it. It's probably just not going to be the meaningful relation you're trying to look for. Just get somebody who wants to be on a yacht. Fuck them.
In a perfect world, I would want exactly what you want. I would want the story to either not be in the game at all because you don't care about story in the game, like Call of Duty, who gives a fuck why I'm shooting someone, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Or if it's gonna have a story, then it best be in the fucking game. Because that's why I'm playing it.
So I'm going to try to rail us in, and I will give you a choice of one of 3 topics for the final topic of discussion of the Frozen Sodium Throne podcast 17. So we can talk about the Souls-like easy mode Kotaku article we talked about at the start. We can talk about the burning of crypto games that you linked me. Or we can talk about the other article that you linked me of the Xbox Call of Duty offer to PlayStation that Jim Ryan has brought to the public. What do you want to talk about?
I think we should talk about NFTs, bro. Like
the crypto games burning? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, no. Fuck it. No, I've changed my mind. I want to talk about the easy mode thing. I want to piss a bunch of people off. Let's do this.
Oh,
because I feel at this point, most people know that NFTs are fucking scammers.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they should lose their money.
I can give you guys a quick summary of the other articles. We won't go too deeply into them, but like the whole thing about there's a game of some kind of Viking game that includes NFTs and it's burning to the fucking ground. And obviously we're going to celebrate that because fuck NFTs. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be celebrating the crypto crash as well because fuck them crypto miners that have been jacking up the prices of GPUs up the ass nonstop. So fuck those people because they've been making life miserable for a ton of gamers, which kind of fucking sucks. So yeah, you get what you fucking deserve. So that's what happened on the crypto situation. And on the Xbox situation, apparently Jim Ryan said that the offer that Xbox gave them is we will give you 3 years of support for Call of Duty, and then you can go and get fucked. And I seem to remember back in the day because there were a ton of people saying like, oh yeah, Microsoft is definitely always going to let Sony get Call of Duty when they buy Activision. It's like, I have a bridge to sell you in the moon. Listen, bro. So yeah. That's something that Sony's like that's the reason why Sony is going up to lawmakers and stuff and complaining about it. We were wondering why Sony was poking the bear last podcast. That's why, because they're going to get fucked in 3 years if they don't do anything about it. But what we are going to talk about is there's an article that I just randomly ran into as we were preparing for the podcast. I haven't read the whole article yet. I've read some of the main talking points, but the title itself is just glorious. And I don't know if you know this, Accolonn, but when Sekiro came out, there was a lot of discussion about this whole easy modes and souls and whatnot. I literally made a video where I said, I will die on this fucking hill. An easy mode will ruin a Souls game, and I will discuss to anybody that wants to talk about it. I will explain to them why. But the problem is most people, they don't want to understand. They just want the easy mode so they can play the game in easy mode. But whatever. So the title of this article is, this new Souls-like proves easy mode isn't just possible, it makes everything better. Now, this is a game from called Steel Rising, which I haven't played yet. I wanted to play it when I saw this article. Kind of makes me want to play the game just to see what this easy mode is that you're talking about. But for starters, this Souls-like is developed by Spiders. Do you know the Spiders developer?
No.
Same guys who made Technomancer. Same guys who made, what was the name of that other game? Mars Warlogs. And there's a couple of other games, but usually they do RPGs. They do these RPG games. I'm not sure that I would classify their games as Souls-likes. So Kotaku might even be stretching the definition of a Souls-like here. But like I said, I haven't played the game, so I do not know if that is actually what they're going for. Now, apparently what this game has is an assist mode. An assist mode that lets you like tweak the amount of damage that you receive and stuff like that. And, you know, it lets you tweak difficulty in a custom way where you can kind of set maybe the amount of health that enemies have or the amount of damage you receive, the amount of damage you deal, all of that stuff, right?
So basically like a built-in cheating system.
Almost, yeah. But there's several games that do this. And here's the thing. I do not disagree with the video game doing this. I think that, if that is the way that you design it, like, for instance, Celeste has a ton of, like, options that lets players play in, like, super slow-mo, which helps players that have, certain disabilities and difficulties with playing the game because the developer wants to make it accessible to as many people as possible. I think that it's perfectly fine. So if they want to develop it like this, I think it's fine as well. What I take issue with is this whole notion of this proves that easy mode is possible and it makes everything better. So which basically is like, the author just going out and like, let me take a dump all over Miyazaki and everything that he says, because Miyazaki specifically says, we designed these games in a way that it is designed for players to feel the overcoming of challenge. It is not designed to be an easy game. It is designed for the players to be able to overcome this challenge and get an incredible feeling of accomplishment when you overcome said challenge. Now, you recently played Elden Ring. Did you feel this sense of accomplishment? I'm assuming you've beat Margit by now, yes?
No, I have not. Mate.
Okay.
I've not played again. I sort of got hooked into Mass Effect again. So I've been playing that a lot. And today I'm starting my Cyberpunk 2077 playthrough again because they just released a new patch.
I hate you.
Like a bunch of new content. Okay. So I will eventually get back into Elden Ring. Those of you that know how I play video games, it's frustrating as fuck to everyone that doesn't play it the way that I do, which is basically never finish a game.
And I now understand. You're just a fucking weirdo, man. Like, look at the way you eat food. God damn it.
Yeah. Exactly. I literally play video games the opposite way of how I eat food. But yeah, so I can say this. I remember the first, like, this is one of those moments that will just stick with me probably for fucking ever. I'm running around in Elden Ring. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm sneaking around, stabbing the guys with shit, and it's all glorious. And I get to the first little, it's not a town, it's more like a bunch of tents and stuff with guards in it. And there's this one dude that patrols the middle. He's got a giant shield and a fucking spear. And I remember pulling all of them at once because, why not? What could possibly go wrong?
This is an MMO.
Kick my ass. Yeah, they kick my ass. I'm like, okay, I'll pull one at a time. I pull one at a time. It's not hard. Like, the normal mobs really isn't a challenge. And then finally I pull the guy with the shield. And he fucking wrecks me in 3 shots. I'm like, what the fuck? So I pull him again. About an hour and a half later, I'm still trying to kill this fuck with the big shield. And I remember when I finally took him down, because the way I took him down actually was to slow myself down. I was like, okay, wait a second. Accolonn, wait. Don't try and go for 3 hits every time you've dodged. Just do 2 and then get ready for him to attack again. So rather than try and finish him as quickly as possible, just slow it down a little. I eventually did it by just one-hitting him and then moving away and dodging, and then one-hitting, moving away, dodging, one-hitting, moving away, dodging. And then I sort of got the rhythm of it, and I could do 2 shots, and I could move away. I could do 2 shots. I could move away. And when I finally killed him, it felt like I had just killed a fucking boss on mythic difficulty in World of Warcraft. I was so happy that I took him down, that I fucking killed him. The same thing happened with every boss that I fought so far. I remember taking on Tree Sentinel. This was the last stream of Elden Ring that I did. I was fighting the Tree Sentinel, and I was probably on Tree Sentinel for a good hour before I took him down.
But you did take him down.
Oh, yeah. I did take him down. But it took learning. It wasn't skill. I wish I could sit here and say, oh, yeah, it's because I'm so fucking super fast. I can click my buttons faster than anyone. That fuck all to do with how fast you click the buttons. It has nothing. It is literally a case of, what does he do when I'm doing this? Because if you can learn that. So, for example, if you stand too close to him, he's going to do this thing where he fucking hits you with his horse, and it does a lot of damage. Not as much as when he hits you with his giant fuck of halberd, but it does do a lot of damage. If you're standing too far away from him, he's going to charge you. if you're jumping to his shield side, he's going to do shield attacks. If you're on the halberd side, he's going to do halberd attacks. Once you've gotten that down, it's about learning timing. It's about figuring out what is the timing of his attacks. It's a slow process. That's literally all it is. It's just a learning experience. You just have to go through the process and you eventually get it down. And I imagine if I were to take on Tree Sentinel again, I might die a couple of times due to mistakes, but I'll take him down probably much faster
yes.
than when I did the first time. If I could do that on easy, it would ruin the game. It would completely ruin that experience.
This is someone who never played a Souls-like before Elden Ring, by the way.
Yeah, Elden Ring is my first fucking and only Souls-like so far. I've not tried anything else. I don't even own any of the other Souls games. It would ruin it because part of it is figuring out how the fight is supposed to go. If you can do it on easy, it takes away the sort of anticipation of punishment, because on the difficulty that it is now, and believe me, this happens, he has this, so all of his attacks does a fuck ton of damage, and basically he can two-hit you with every single attack that he does. But he has this one attack where he does this giant fucking
shield slam
swing. Right?
No, the swing.
Well, the shield slam does the one that basically one-shots you. I think there's two that almost one-shots you. The one is he jumps into the fucking air with his shield.
And then
he smashes down. That basically fucking one-shots you. The other one is he slams his shield into the ground. He comes up. He does a stab. And then he does this fucking swinging attack. Now, if he hits you with the swinging attack, GG, thanks for playing, come back again. So you kind of have to be... You're constantly aware these things can fucking happen, and you don't want to get hit by them. Imagine if it was easy mode, because then suddenly that shield slam maybe takes a quarter of your health.
Yeah.
You're not as aware of this shit happening.
You're not really learning anything anymore. You're just not learning.
Yeah.
But
failure isn't punishment.
The funny thing is, there is this notion that people then bring into it, which is like, well, not everybody likes as much challenge as you do. And I'm like, yes. And guess what? There's literally millions of games out there for people that don't like this challenge. Millions. Millions of RPGs.
Yeah.
So it's
but
like,
not only that, there's that spirit thing. I haven't used it yet, but you can use it in Elden Ring, which is
spirit summons.
Literally, the spirit summons, which is literally designed. If you don't want that heavy of a challenge, you can bring spirits with you. Yeah. It's still going to be a challenge because the game is meant to be a challenge. The spirits aren't just going to magically lower its health, but the spirit will help you because the boss might attack the spirit for a while, which gives you the opportunity to see how the boss attacks. You get to see how the boss goes through his attack animations. You get to learn a little bit from that, and you get to do some damage in the process. So I don't know, man. It to me seems that
most of the people that I've ever gotten into Souls have specifically told me that if the game was any easier, they would have taken the easy way out, and they would have not enjoyed it nearly as much. And this is why I find Miyazaki is a genius, because he knows that's what players would do. So he designs games that are a lot more accessible than people give them credit. The problem is that there's been so many developers that just make games that are way too easy that people are just used to playing easy games, and then they get to a hard game and it's like, no, I just want to play it on easy mode. And it's like, okay, there's millions of other games that are on easy mode. You don't have to play every single video game out there. Play the ones that you enjoy. Do not play the ones that you think are too hard. It's just that simple. Yeah. You don't have to play every video game out there. You play the ones that you like. You don't play the ones that you don't like. But the whole point of like these articles coming out and saying like, it's proven an easy mode would most definitely work. It's like, no, you haven't proved shit. It means that the developers who made this game, Steel Rising, the Spiders, which by the way, I tend to enjoy their games. It means that they want an easy mode to be available, and they've developed the game to take that in consideration. Now, a problem that I usually have is whenever there are these other games that have multiple difficulties, what ends up happening is the harder difficulty is usually piss poor balanced. because developers will balance around the normal difficulty, which will usually feel way too easy for me. And this is not me bragging, it's just the way that games have been developed. So a majority of video games, you play them on normal, they feel way too easy. You go on hard and they feel boring as fuck, because what do they do on hard? What's the easiest way to make a hard mode? Okay, you now take 50% more damage, boss has 50% more health, hard mode done. And it's like, is that really a hard mode? Is that really increasing the challenge? It's just making it more boring. You're punishing my mistakes more heavily, and you're making the boss fight take longer, which is not interesting in the slightest. So that's why I'm like, look, there's plenty of games that do multiple difficulties, and I usually struggle to get enjoyment out of those games due to the fact that the difficulties aren't usually that well balanced. Games that don't have a difficulty mode and that are properly balanced like this to be challenging from the get-go, like you can count them on your hands. Yeah. With your hands, with the fingers in your hands, you can count them. So it's like, let us have this. That's all I can say to that. Just let us have this, and you have all of the other millions. You're eating good, okay? You're eating good. You don't have to come into my plate and eat my food too, okay?
I would say that the thing that people need to understand when it comes to games like the Souls games, there's a creative element to it as well. Like, I'll tell you guys about one of the like more fun bosses that I had an encounter with. It was, I don't know the areas, but it's this giant sort of flooded city. It's not fully flooded, but there's like water everywhere. And then it's this boss on a boat. She sits on like a fucking rowing boat or something.
A skeleton.
Like, just going around. Yeah. And I did this, right? And I figured out, like, this was on my 4th or 5th pull. I figured out I have this attack that makes me, it's a spatial attack that makes me spin around. And if I hit her with 2 of these spinny attacks, it stuns her.
Spin to win.
Exactly. So what I would do is I would spin twice, stun her, fucking beat the shit out of her. And then as soon as she unstuns, I spin again until she fucking gets stunned. And then I fucking hammer her again.
Stun locked.
And I killed her. And I was like, bro, godlike gamer.
Yes.
Of course I'm not a godlike gamer. I found a way to beat the game that you could say
it was cheesy.
Wasn't designed to be killed that way.
Cheesed it.
But it was designed to be killed that way. That's why it's possible. That's the whole thing of Elden Ring. If you have a stun, a boss can be stunned. If you have a blind, a boss will be able to be blinded. Because the whole point is, here's your tool set. There are many tools in the game. Choose your tool. And whatever tool it is, that's fine. The boss will respond to the tool that you're using. But you have to kind of put thought into it. So the boss that I went up against that kind of stopped me in my fucking tracks is what you call
Margit.
Margit. And Margit is a boss that's sort of designed as a soft layer or a soft lock. It's supposed to be that boss that says, okay, wait a second. If you're not super good at Souls-like games, you're going to have to go collect a bunch of tools because there are tools in the world. Go find those tools, and then once you've unlocked all of those tools, come back, use it on him, because someone actually told me there are certain items that you can find in the game that makes that the easiest fight in the game.
I don't know about the easiest. I've never used that item, but I know that it makes it easier, yes.
Yeah, because you don't do it, it's a fuck up. Basically, you can't time shit, because he attacks with 2 different weapons at 2 different speeds. Sometimes at the same fucking time.
I love Margit. Margit's such a good boss, dude, because he holds his attack. There are so many animations out there of people making fun of it, because like Margit go like this, and he's like, "I'm about to hit you," and you start dodge rolling like a maniac, and he's like, "Not quite yet, though," and then you stop, and he's like, "I'm about to hit you," and then you roll again, and he's still holding it, and then you stop, and he's like, "You're full of shit," and boom. Just when you're you're about to, the carbod one, where you're like,
yeah, that was stupidly fucking funny, man. And again, as you said, this is a specific genre of games. Now, I remember when Elden Ring came out, Kotaku and, all those fans, all those fan sites, I guess you should call them, made videos about how bad it is that there's only one difficulty, and and they said it's discrimination against people that
cry
have
me a
disabilities.
fucking river is what I say.
And my thought to that was, look, if you're blind, that sucks. No one wants to be blind, but let's say you are blind, you can't play tennis. I mean, get another sport. There's plenty of other fucking sports. This just happens to be one of those sports that you can't fucking partake in. We can't change the rules of tennis in order to make it possible for blind people to play it. Now, I'm not sure if there is a version of tennis that blind people can play. Maybe, I don't know. I know there's a version of cricket that blind people can play. It's not cricket. The rules of cricket is still the same. In the blind one, they roll the ball because the ball makes a noise, and the blind people hit the ball as it's rolling because the ball makes a fucking noise. And that's the whole point of that game. It's like cricket, but it's not cricket. The whole point of this game is it's like Dark Souls, but it's not Dark Souls. It has a difficulty scaling setting. It has the ability for you to do the game on different difficulties. That makes it not a Souls game. It's Souls-like, but it's not a Souls game.
Here's the thing. I don't even know if it's a Souls-like. I don't know if they're not stretching the definition of what a Souls-like is to include this just to make their stupid little asinine point. But here's another interesting thing on Disabled, because at the time when Sekiro came out, there was obvious, because every time, interestingly enough, when a lot of like other Souls-like games come out, people don't talk that much about it, but whenever an actual Souls game from Software comes out, the difficulty discussion always comes back around every single time. It never fails. And so there was actually I believe, quadriplegic player who came out and showed himself beating one of the harder bosses in Sekiro, and not just beating it, flexing on it with like perfect parries. I'm talking like this guy was playing better than me. And I'm not an impressive player by any stretch, but you're talking about someone who is, I don't know if the actual definition is quad. I know that he had very limited mobility in his hands as well, and he was on a wheelchair. Yeah. He was like, he obviously would have difficulties, and he would hold the controller in a strange way and all of this. And it's like, look, I'm all for supporting any kind of different controllers and all of these different input methods, like get him buttons that he could use with his feet, the thing that he blows into with his mouth, like all of those things, 1,000,000,000% support. But this guy was literally flexing on one of the harder bosses of Sekiro. So it's like, stop using disabled people as a shield. And more disabled people came out, it's like, don't use me as a shield. Like, what the fuck is this? Stop.
Well, the thing for me is, right, we can't include everyone in everything.
Yeah, we can.
That's just the nature of life. Yeah. Life is unfair. I would fucking love to win the Olympics in the 100-meter dash.
I don't think that's happening, Accolonn.
No, I also don't think so. Because the only way for me to fucking do that is if they took all the other athletes and tied weights around them. And even then, they'd probably fucking beat me. So the whole point is, what do? I just don't run the 100-meter dash because I can't actually fucking run it fast enough. And I could sit here and I could say, oh my God, it's so unfair that fat people can't run the 100-meter dash. But that's just the rules. That's just how it goes, right? I wasn't born fast. I was born fat. I can't fucking do it. I could be a sumo wrestler. Usain Bolt couldn't be a fucking sumo wrestler. He could go, no, that's unfair to fucking skinny people. Well, that's just how it goes. Them be the rules, bro. And yes, it's sad when someone has a disability and they can't partake. But guess what? There are plenty of other games out there designed specifically for you if you have that disability. Because I actually saw someone on Twitter complain about a game. I can't remember what the game was, but they claimed that this game triggered their OCD and that it was incredibly evil of this gaming company to not keep people with OCD in mind whenever they design their game. And I was like, dude, just don't play them.
It's like, you can't think. It's the same thing with like the people who have arachnophobia. I wasn't aware of this, that this was such a big deal. But for people with arachnophobia, like it gets triggered when they actually see a spider like a really big spider in a video game. So there's even mods that will sometimes will take out spiders out of certain video games and whatnot. But it's like the developers can't like, look, I'm sorry you're scared of spiders. We plan to have a spider boss here. It's like, well, what are we gonna do, right? It's like,
spiders are scary. Yeah. If you have a borderline scary game, you're gonna have probably fucking spiders, you know. And again, the rate at which some people want to be included in the conversation, we're not gonna have anything left to make.
Yeah,
because if I have to keep in mind everything that people could potentially be triggered by, it would be better for me just not to make the fucking game in the first place.
I was just thinking right now, what is the let's get an exaggerated example of what would be the most like easy game to have that would not trigger anyone. And I was thinking about, okay, so think of just a game that's like, there's a ball and there's like some geometric shapes, and then you'd run the ball through the geometric shapes and like land in a hole or something, and boom, game done. You'd imagine like, okay, so this isn't going to trigger any fears or anything, but like there's probably people who are afraid of certain geometric shapes. There's going to be people that are afraid of things falling into holes, might trigger vertigo. There's going to be people that might be afraid of spheres because they're too smooth and it's unnatural, because in the real world, there's no 100% smooth sphere. So it's like, there's too much. There's no way to actually make a game that's going to please for everyone. So I would argue you shouldn't even try to make a game that pleases everyone.
The problem is, you're not even like, even if you go away from that, let's say your game has a goal that needs to be completed. So you have to go through all these geometric shapes, but obviously it's a game, so there's a score. Now that could trigger some people's anxiety.
Yep. Oh my God. So I'm being rated on my performance.
Yeah. Now, anxiety is a real thing, and there are people that actually suffer from it. But do we have to keep them in mind for every single game that we make? It would be impossible. Unless, of course, we're only keeping them in mind and fucking everyone else. But if we're trying to say, okay, we can't offend anyone, then we can't do anything.
Yeah.
That's literally what it boils down to. If I'm not allowed to offend anyone with anything that I do, then I am not allowed to do anything anymore. Unless, of course, we say, well, actually, no, here's the list of things that you can do and a list of things that you can't do. But because those lists are entirely arbitrary, what happens in 2 years' time when you've expanded your fucking list and now my game has a bunch of things in it that is now on the not to do list? Now I have to change my game or remove my game because I might trigger people?
Reminds me of some video that I saw a while ago of like, there were a bunch of people in like an auditorium, and the person trying to speak kept getting interrupted by other people screaming point of personal privilege or whatever the fuck it was. And then they would ask them, oh, please don't speak in these terms. Please don't. And I'm just like, bro, I mean, come on. Can the person just like say literally anything, or is everything going to be a fucking trigger word? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Exactly. They would constantly go point of privilege, point of privilege. And it was just like, dude. And every single person at that conference had something wrong with them. Yeah. You know, there was some big thing wrong with them. And I was just like, dude, is this the meeting for everyone with disabilities? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Anyway, no, we need to call it, Accolonn. It's like, it's good. We're gonna make another 4-hour podcast if we keep going like this.
True. Oh my God, we're on 3 hours.
Yes,
already.
Dude. Yes.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. It's so easy. The reason I notice is because I have the recording screen and I'm always looking at the recording time. So I'm like, oh man, here we go. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode of Third Fleet Podcast. I know that a lot of you actually want like 6-hour podcasts. That's not going to happen, okay? No, not enough people are going to watch them. It's going to burn our podcast.
You say Third Fleet Podcast.
I said Third Fleet? Podcast. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I need to get some sleep. Frozen Sodium Throne. I'm sorry. I need to get some sleep, guys. Anyway, that is going to be it. Check out all things Accolonn in the description of this video. We might be both checking out New World at some point. That'll be interesting as well. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out.